T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with
Whew. You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. I'm your boy, MJ. What is good, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great week. If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. I drop 4 podcasts on this channel every single week. Do not miss a beat. Then I drop a weekly vlog. Never know what collection I'm going to be visiting. Never know what I'm going to be dropping on this channel. But either way, this shit's popping at least 5 times a week. So this is why you should definitely subscribe to the channel. That's why you should hit that notification bell. That way you're on top of everything, man. Don't miss anything coming from this channel. I'm telling you right now. And then more importantly, man, do me a favor. If you like what you hear, if you like what the guest is doing, if you're enjoying what's going on, smash that like button. Very important. Hit that like button. Greatly appreciated. But what is good? I hope everyone's week is going great so far. If it's not, if you're having the kind of week a lot of these weirdos on Facebook's having right now, well, I'm sorry. Your guys' week, it's about to get better if you're tapping in, because we have somebody super heavy in the Emerald game, super heavy in the Contra game that I respect. I've been following this guy for the last few years since I've been in this. So we're going to talk all about it, man. But we'll shout out to the early birds. I'm not going to lie. Early birds look a little light tonight. I hope the early birds step up right now because they look a little light. And my man, Christopher Rice, is not light whatsoever. So I'll give you guys a minute to kind of get hyped up in the early birds. In the meantime, you guys know what the deal is. Freshest and bestest rodents delivered to your doorstep. Coldbloodedcafe.com. Day one pinks to the mammoth rats. What are day one pinks? Well, literally a pink that is born on day one. That's how tiny that of a damn rodent that these guys have, okay? All the way to mammoth rats. Anything you need rodent-wise, they have size here at Cold Blooded Cafe. $30 flat rate shipping. Professionally packed. All their packaging is biodegradable. Did I say that right? I hope I did. Anyways, you can recycle it. You can fucking put it in compost. Don't even have to throw it away. It's awesome. Cold Blooded Cafe, the shit, they're the best. Go check them out. And they have the best prices for sure. Shout out to John and Alex over at Sim Container, doing big things with the monitors. But more importantly, if you got eggs, put them inside of a Sim box. My room is stacked full of Sim containers. And last year, they were all used. I had 15 Sim containers being used at once. Still wasn't enough. So, John, you already know I need more. I need at least 5 more. You out there, if you out there need a Sim container, go to simcontainer.com or hit up John on Facebook or hit them up on Instagram. And guys, just go check out what they have going on. I'm telling you right now, they're always at all the shows, vending, having really cool stuff to show off. Something you don't want to miss, that's for sure. So go check them out. Shout out to John and Alex doing big things. Talk about big things, and big money being spent over at Focus Cube Habitats, all for a good cause, of course. But damn, man, I have so many things in the works right now. It's crazy. It's exciting. You know, I mean, listen, as much as I've been enjoying this growth I've had in the last few years with these animals, and you know, whoever follows me knows I work with some cool shit. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but my shit is sick as fuck. I love the animals I work with, man. And but now I'm really focusing on what I should be putting them in. You know, I have some amazing chondros that I've raised up, and they've been in tubs, and there's nothing wrong with tubs, man. I'm a huge believer in the tub game, you know, for many reasons. But at the end of the day, I'm fortunate to take things to the next level, and I'm going to do that with Focus Cube Habitat. So that being said, I have 12 3x2x2s on the way over. I mean, they're being made, but then I have 12 of those being made plus another 6. So 18 of those about to hit your boys' podcast room. So the room that I'm in now that's full of chondros and emeralds, dude, Focus Cube Habitats decked out all over. I cannot wait. So thank you so much, Stephen Ashley. They're also, because of my switch of plans too, because you know, you guys know I keep most of you guys know I keep laces, monitors and lace monitors and whatnot. And I had a lot of ambitions of keeping these monitors outside. And I just don't feel, even if my, you know, San Diego weather perfect for it and I could get away with it, I'm good. I'd rather not keep my, you know, $20,000 animals outside just because of all the shady shit going on. And just, you know what I mean? I don't let anyone hardly come over to my place anyways, but still, you know, we're going to talk plenty about that tonight as well. But yeah, they are building me a PVC indoor built, you know, PVC enclosure built for my, for indoor for my monitors. I can't wait. So just guys, go over to Focus Cube Habitats, give them a follow on Instagram, go see what they have going on. Custom shit, the best, PVC built. And then obviously stainless steel racks for anyone who keeps snakes in rack systems. Stainless steel racks, Freedom Breeder made in the United States. This is the shit right here. You cannot beat Freedom Breeder. I also just dropped mad bills on some Freedom Breeder racks. Your boy's doing it. I'm telling you. I'm so excited for myself. I'm so happy. So I got Freedom Breeder racks that are coming too as well. And, you know, I mean, dude, I'm only fucking with the best, plain and simple. That's Freedom Breeder right there, 110%. If you guys have Freedom Breeder racks, you know exactly that they don't lose value. You know, they're Freedom Breeder. It's like the shiznit, you know what I mean? It's like the Louis Vuitton of racks for sure, especially because, yeah, they're not cheap, but you get what you pay for, right? Jesse, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have finally your fucking goddamn rack systems in the trap. It's going to be amazing. Bye-bye Home Depot racks. What a day it's been. Or what a time it's been. What a time it's been knowing my man always evolving pythons, super heavy in the ball python game, super heavy in the YouTube game, period. This guy is just heavy in my heart. It's my boy right here. Really inspires me, really keeps me going. Let's just say that. But I'm not the only one. This guy inspires, you know, the entire ball python community from what I can see. And if you don't follow Miguel, you're just a hater. If you don't follow Miguel, you don't know him. Well, here's your chance. Go give him a follow right now. Always evolving pythons. If you are interested in investment ball pythons and you're looking to get something to make your stuff stand out, that's Miguel Garcia. A lot of the shit that I work with came from his stock. You know, I raise, you know, I don't have, you know, I'm not saying I have a crazy ball python collection, but the heat, you know, I have mid heat, I have mid ball python heat, but a lot of it stems from his quality. You know, a lot of my shit is built off of Miguel's stuff. So guys, go give him a follow right now. Always evolving pythons. Shout out to the whole AEP team. I love you guys. And dude, whew, my boy right here, Alan, Amazing Basins. You know, what's amazing is the guest that we have on has experience, just, you know, recently has experience breeding emeralds, northerns. And I'm telling you right now, man, anybody who could breed those are just a fucking shoe in. It just, yeah, and you just gotta have it. I feel like fucking the snake gods choose who breeds these things and who don't. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. So that being said, I'm excited to have somebody like Alan sponsor my channel. This guy believes in me, and that honestly motivates the shit out of me. If you guys don't know who Alan is, please go give him a follow on Instagram. Amazing Basins. He breeds basins, and he also works with a really sick ass collection of ball pythons that he's growing up. This year, he's pairing them up. I don't want to say too much, but my man, I'm telling you right now, okay, this guy, you know, working with the Ferrari of snakes, and he works with ball pythons. Think about that. Maybe he wants to pay. Maybe he wants to have something pay for his Ferraris. Does that make sense? What do you think the ball pythons do? Ding! Shout out to all my ball python keepers out there. You guys know why you breed ball pythons? The money. Alan, thank you so much for the support. You mean everything, bro. Shout out to your whole family, all that. Big things to come with me and Alan this year. Just stand by for that. And guys, just be ready for this, because this guy's projects are going to blow you through the roof this year. Go give him a follow on Instagram, my man Alan, Amazing Basins. Reptile Super Show, shout out to Rami. Amazing things going on at Reptile Super Show. He had a great show at Pomona. I have a good feeling about Anaheim. That's going to be happening here in the next, during summertime, I believe in July. So guys, please go give him a follow on Instagram. If you're in Southern California, you've never been to a Reptile Super Show, you got to make that a priority, because these shows are very fun. You get to meet a lot of keepers, YouTubers, all sorts of stuff. Everyone goes to a Reptile Super Show. And then, man, what can I say? Stuttering, but Jesus Christ. NARBC, Brian Potter, Bob Ashley. I mean, I'll tell you right now, any keeper who fucks in that fucks around with snakes know that the best shows are NARBC as far as meeting anyone who's been involved with this for a long time. And I got to say, Arlington is next week. I hope you guys are ready, because I have a awesome podcast going down next week. It's going to be remote. It's going to be in Texas. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spill any more beans. But guys, Arlington and NARBC, tapping with your boy MJ. I cannot wait. It's going to be an amazing time. Texas never disappoints, okay? Friday, there's going to be a sick-ass pre-party going down at the Stiegel residence. That's going to be amazing. Buddy, I know there's snow going on in your backyard right now, but if you could just crank up that hot tub for your boy MJ one time, I'll bring the red wine. You feel me? I'll bring is it the Ducksworth? I forget. There's a bottle of wine that Bill Stiegel put me on, and it has a duck in the front. It's delicious. I'm gonna bring like a lot of it. So, Bill, cannot wait to see you. All my Texans cannot wait to see you next week. Tap in with your boy MJ. It's gonna be sick. And then guys, tap into US Arc, please. I mean, there's shit hitting the fan right now. US Arc is doing everything they can to keep, for certain people, keep their animals. And when I say certain people who are getting fucking crushed by these laws that make no sense whatsoever, it could happen to any one of us. So just because it's not happening to you right now, shouldn't be looked over. It shouldn't be like, oh, I don't need to support that shit. No, you do need to support that shit, especially if you're new into this. It should be a priority is to support US Arc. This comes with reptile keeping. And like I said, any guests I bring on, if you are against US Arc, tell me why. I mean, I want to know why you don't support US Arc. I want to close any gaps I could possibly close, because at the end of the day, US Arc is only here to help us keep our animals. Fuck, I'll help them. Yeah, and they're legit. So if there's any problems with that, go read up. They put everything out there, every cent, every dollar, everything you donate, they track and they let you see it. So there's no shadiness. And any people who are like, US Arc, no, just knock it off, dude. The ones who are doing that are trying to say like, oh, it's okay to uncheck the box mark for $1 donation. Fuck out of here, please. Are you kidding me? You're trying to track $1 when it's like $1 to US Arc, especially you're already a US Arc supporter. You're still unchecking the dollar for what? Tax purposes? $1? Don't get me started. I'll go in on right now on these motherfuckers, bro. It's Facebook this week. You guys are back to your old shit. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about it tonight. Oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up tonight, Facebook. For sure. If you guys have any questions, if you want to see what exactly I have going on with my projects for some reason, if you guys are like, fuck, this guy, is he just a podcaster? No, I'm not just a podcaster, okay? I have animals before I podcast. Let's just keep this 100, keep this a bill. I do this podcast so I could keep learning and I could keep raising up my knowledge in this shit. Because at the end of the day, a lot of you people who've been doing this for years and years. Boy, MJ's been doing this for 4 years. So anyways, guys, go see what I got going on Instagram, mjexoticscartal with an A, not an E. And then if you guys want to follow the Trap Talk with MJ podcast Instagram, that's how you can stay on top of every thing that I publish on, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Buzzsprouts, all the audio, all the podcast platforms. Okay, so good way to stay on top of that is following that Instagram page as well. Shout out to all my Twitch viewers going up. Appreciate you guys so much. And then for whatever reason, guys, if you guys want to support this channel more than a subscription, more than a like, you guys do send me donations. I'm greatly appreciated. Any donation you send me, first off, you can send it to PayPal, Exotics Cartel with an A, not an E. And I'll forward that to US Arc. Any donation sent, any super chat sent. So if guys, if you don't know what a super chat is, inside the live chats, you could actually donate $1 to $100, whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you have an important question, if there's something that you need to ask the homie Christopher Rice, and I'm not reading your question, if you drop $1 or something, I'll read it. I promise you that. For some reason, my eyesight like triggers in when I see that, dollar sign pop up. Sorry. But anyways, if you do that, then I donate all that to US Arc. I get your question out. It's a win-win situation. Okay. So all that, guys, appreciate every single super chat. Let's get the super chats cracking for my man, Christopher Rice, because it's going to be a great episode. Let's see. Early birds. Who are the early birds up and going yet? Let's see who's here right now. All right. My boy 1776 Exotics. Oh, real quick, guys. I'm so sorry. Shout out to all my Patreon members, man. Patreon members are blowing up right now as far as the growth. Oops. Sorry about that. Hold on. Sorry, Mike. I got to take away your comment, Mike. But guys, real quick, if you're out there looking to be a part of a community, if you want to branch more, if you're just like, hey, yeah, I work with hog noses, but just doesn't cut it. Well, guys, if you join the Trap Talk Patreon page, go down and link below. If you join that Patreon page, you have access to so many breeders who work with so many different diverse of species, green tree pythons, ball pythons, emeralds. I have fucking heavy hitters a part of my Patreon page, a part of the Discord. And once you join the Patreon page, you get access to the Discord. The Discord is cracking off 24/7. I'm telling you right now, even if you're experiencing this, you're going to gain something from it. We're all tapping in. So like I said, go down to the link below. Come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Come join my trappers. We're about 80 deep, more than 80 deep now. So I'm cutting it off at 100. Telling you right now, you're going to want to tap in. And once you tap in after so long, you do get one of these sick ass podcast shirts because trapping is a sport. Gee! All right, guys. All right. So let me go back. Big Mike right here. That's Trap Talk Patreon family member all day. What is good? Jacob, Trap Talk Patreon family member all day. He's on a write-up right now. I'm not too happy with him. Deviant Glass, what is good? Thanks for tapping in. Eric's More Factory, thanks for tapping in. What is good? Pacific Rim Serpents, PNW in the building. Dude, you know what I need? My brain's lagging. I need my alpha brain. I feel like my words are like my lagging right now. Ooh, got the General in the building. What's up, General? Thanks for tapping in. Go give my man Martin Morphs a follow. Dude's working with some sick shit. Adding some cool new enclosures to his collection. Longtime keeper, longtime friend. Go follow my man, the General. Appreciate you, bro. Love you. Barber J, what is good, bro? Thanks for tapping in. I appreciate you. Wise Guy, thanks for tapping in. What is good? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. The homie Matt, Evolution Exotics. This dude right here, man, he picked up some heat. My boy Matthew here. I posted one of my holdbacks, and he's like, I want it. I was like, God damn. No joke. That's my boy. Go give him a follow. Evolution Exotics. He's one of the, check this out. I'm going to give, I hope you don't mind, Matt, but I'm going to tell the people, okay? I have Socrates Production, which, we all know White Diamond, right? So White Diamond's brother pumped out some baby. Well, he didn't pump out, but the girl he knocked up pumped out some babies, and he got one of the nicest ones out of that clutch. It's a yellow Neo, but it has White Diamond blood. Anyways, I have one of the siblings to that as well. So we're on the same level with that shit. I'm telling you, go give my man a follow right now. Matt, Evolution Exotics. Thanks for tapping in. Peter, what is good? Got Norway in the building. I love it when Europe's in the building. What is good? Texas Kid Reptiles. Are you ready for Arlington next week? I hope you're tapping in next week. John Tay Lee, what is good? Sounds like a country singer name. That's pretty hard. J-Man, what is good? Thanks for tapping in. Patrick Rose, Trap Talk Patreon family member all day, every day. Wiz Constrictor, Reptiles, what is good? Trap Talk Patreon family member all day, every day. Matthew Summers, that's my boy right there. Go give him a follow. Hit him up on YouTube. This guy's all over the platforms right now. But thanks for tapping in. Appreciate you, Matthew Summers. Lily, what is good? Trap Talk Patreon member family all day, all day. Here we go. Oh, Triple G, what is good? Thanks for tapping in, bro. Trap Talk family all day. Damn, all you guys are here. Blazing Blue Tongues, what is good? Mason Jason, what is this? Oh, Mason Jason. Mason Johnson, what is good? Thanks for tapping in. Ultimate Massive, what is good? Jason Asplay, did I say that right? What is good? Oh, what's good? Danny, dude, Danny and Renee Rocha, Portuguese Pythons. They picked up some stupid heat from Miguel over. So everything I was talking about, why you should go follow Miguel and if you want to invest in something sick, okay, this is the example I'm talking about. Go give him a follow on Instagram. I don't want to say anything more, but go see what they picked up. Hell of a sick pickup, guys. That shit's going to do some crazy work for you. And then let me end it with one more person. Let's see. Perel33, what is good? Thanks for tapping in, Trappers. All right. Whew, damn. 19. Is it really been 19 minutes? No. Have I been talking that long? Holy shit. My bad, Chris. Okay, guys, here's the thing. This guy that I'm bringing on right now, you got to understand, not everyone is a green tree python and an emerald tree boa breeder. It's usually one or the other. But man, Chris is dialed in, and there's always reasonings behind why someone's dialed in with something that not too many people are dialed in with. All I got to say is we're in for a great episode. My man's tapping in from the East Coast. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff to talk about. And here he is, Christopher Wright from Spirit. Okay, tell me. I just learned your Instagram name. You got to help me. What is it?
It's Snake Spirit.
Snake Spirit.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, I wasn't really when I made that account. I basically, I was just putting up an account to just share some photos.
Right.
And it actually grew beyond what I expected it to. So now I'm trying to think, like, am I going to keep that? I'm going to change it. I didn't have that ready. So
Christopher Rice, man, thank you for being here. It means a lot. Like I was just saying, I've been following you, like, since, because I had Facebook more than before. I mean, before Instagram, right? But my following, as far as like who I was looking at social media wise, was primarily Instagram first, which was ball pythons, and a lot of the EMERALDTREEBOA green tree python guys I started following on Facebook, but it was only a handful, and you're one of them. And to have you on is fucking awesome. We're gonna have a great night, man. So thank you for doing this.
I'm glad, man. Like I said, I was kind of taken by surprise when you invited me on, and I don't normally do stuff like this, so I'm like, I
love it
about doing it, but I was like, I watch the show regularly. I've learned so much from the different episodes and interviews, and it's always fun. So I figured I gotta come on here and have a good time here.
All right, so check this out, Christopher. I keep calling you Christopher. I can call you Chris, right?
Yeah, Chris is fine.
All right, so Chris, I mean, I've done this not too long, but long enough to know that certain species takes a little bit more as far as like not really brain power, but like you have to be more dialed in with certain stuff. Like, you can't really get away with negligence with certain species. You know what I mean? And you work with two of the most not only sought after ones for me that I want to be good at, but two of the most sought after species that everyone's loving right now in this industry. So let's take this back a little bit. I mean, how far back do you even go with working with reptiles or snakes, and if we could kind of start from there?
I mean, long time. Like one of my earliest memories was being a kid. Like most of us have that are into it. I have a memory of being somewhere 3, 4, maybe 5 years old, and there was some big black snake in the yard. I don't know if it was a racer. I'm assuming it was. And I just thought it was super cool, but also scary. And I like warned my whole family. I think we were out doing like a barbecue or something. I'm like, snake. And, thought that was amazing to just see something like that. And then, you see them all in the yard all the time, always catching stuff. But I didn't really get into them until I think I was 11 or 12 years old. And then I kept technically kind of interesting first 2 snakes. So my first snake was a little ringneck, just like a little ringneck that we caught somewhere. And I tried keeping it in a 10-gallon aquarium. And for some reason, we tried feeding it flies.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. For some reason, I just remember we thought it would eat flies. And then it was like the next day, there's just dead flies on the bottom of the cage. And so I had it for a few days or so, and then realized I didn't know what I was doing, and we let it go. And then it wasn't too long after that, I met a couple of my lifelong friends that we all lived in this street or two away from each other. Actually, most of us lived on the same street, and we all ended up getting into reptiles around about the same time. But I wasn't the first one to get into it. So my friend, good friend Mike, had a killer boa, a little small boa, and I saw him outside with it one time. Obviously was fascinated and blown away by this thing, but I didn't know what it was. And for some reason, I got it in my head. I don't know if my other friend told me that it was a viper, or I thought it was a viper. And I thought it was just super dope, and it bit him. And I remember thinking, like, what's going on? This kid just got envenomated by this snake. I didn't know what was going on. I was fascinated by it. And then we all became close friends shortly after that, and got into keeping all sorts of stuff.
Dude, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, Christopher, but this is crazy, bro. Okay, first off, my best friend's in the building, and I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
I can't see who's here right now.
Socrates, bro. This is my life coach.
Socrates. Hey, what's up, man?
So Sock does it. The guy's busy. He's nonstop, and I tell you this because I talk to him almost every day, and like I can't talk to him as much as I used to because he's nonstop. So the fact that he's here the fact that he's here is heavy.
Appreciate it, man.
But not only that, bro, do you fuck with Keith Flax? Do you know who Keith Flax is?
Oh, yeah, man. What's up, Keith? How you doing, man?
Anyways, we're off to a good start. This is awesome. You have some heavy hitters in the building. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But yeah, let's kind of talk about, like, you know, once you started working with, you know, the diversity of different reptiles, because, you know, at a young age, from what I remember us talking about, you got thrown into a position where you learned a lot quick, and, you know, not all of it so good, but you got put into the ringer where it, you know, did some things to you, right?
Yeah. So try to fast forward a little bit through that. So, because there's just so much stuff to go over from the past that I'll just skip over a little bit of that. But basically, some of y'all out there might know in the ball python game, Barry Swope, one of my oldest friends. We've been friends forever. Technically, we were talking about the other day, trying to remember some of the stuff. I think we both had the same first snake, technically, like a corn snake that he had named Henry. And
Henry.
yeah. It was funny stories, but so him and I ended up getting a job at this. It was a little reptile wholesaler place, and so when we started working there, it was pretty small. There wasn't. I think it was mostly just getting stuff, reselling to pet stores, getting things from like Strictly Reptiles and places like that. And once we were working there, I started able to put an effort to care for the animals as they were coming in and really try to do things better. Then it grew. And so then we eventually, over the years, started getting real imports, direct imports in from all over the world. So I got to see, I mean, I've forgotten how many things I have to talk with Barry and my friend Mike about it to remember some of the things that we saw came through. But we had shipments from Ghana, Indo, Guyana, Tanzania. I'm trying to remember. I had a list of the stuff that we used to get in. And so my role there, my primary role at that time, was taking care of everything, you know, unpacking, getting stuff set up, doing the grunt work of caring for the animals after they came in, and then packing orders and stuff too. But, you know, so I had so many things coming through my hands at that time. And this was like 90, I think either 98 or 99.
And how old were you then?
I think I was 17 I was either 17 or 18 when I started, somewhere right around there.
Oh yeah. See, I knew it, because I mean, 17 in 99, and I was 14. So you're about 3 years older than me. So, but the thing is, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. I forget how long, really, but I got out of it for quite a while. So that's why it kind of seems like I'm newer at it.
Well, because it's different now with the social media and shit. Like, it's like you have so much exposed that wasn't exposed before, you know?
Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, a lot of stuff's way better now. You know, thankfully, a lot of stuff has made huge improvements. There's there's of course plenty of stuff that's not good, but or still problematic. But yeah, even though it has been a long time, it's still kind of impressive thinking back in the day how terrible so many things were kept at that point, how bad husbandry was for so many people. My own husbandry, of course, was god awful in plenty of cases back then. So there's been a lot of improvements, but it's definitely weird getting back into it hardcore and you know, in this era for sure.
So what's crazy is, like, you know, as much as you say, like, you know, back then the way people kept shit was like just, you know, and to be honest, you know, it was a lot of it was lack of knowledge, and humans are just piece of shit. But a lot of it, people just really didn't know better, right? But if you fast forward to nowadays, and we could just use shows as an example, like I don't know if you recently gone to Tinley or go to shows, but
I've gone to a couple local shows, and I went to the NRBE. I think the last 2 years, definitely this past year.
And I'm
Daytona show.
I'm going to use this guy as an example just because he has probably one of the sickest setups that's not ball python related, and it's like his own thing, and that's Garrett Hartle. Do you know who Garrett Hartle is?
Yeah.
Reach Out Reptiles. Have you ever seen his like reach out fucking cafe booth type shit that he has? Like, dude, it's okay. It's basically a next level thing that he's trying to implement at shows to let people know, like, you just don't need to fucking tablecloth and a table and put things in deli cups. Like you could think outside the box. You know, he has TVs everywhere. It's super loungy, and everywhere you look, there are different localities of super dwarfs. And he has babies to adults. Everything is meant to sell you a super dwarf. It's fucking amazing. It's great, but it makes you realize how far we are in this game, right? Like how far people have come until you do walk across that table that just has a tablecloth and has like a animal with dry skin that's like shriveled up. And you know, there's people who've always kept that animals like that. They just never chose to evolve. And that's one thing I don't, you know, if it's anything, anyone who's keeping an animal wrong right now is somebody who's probably been keeping animals wrong for a long time and they just decide not to change, you know, and they're just stubborn or they just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
I think it tends to be, sadly, it's they don't give a shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you got in you know, back in the day it was a little bit different because like you're saying, some of it, you know, the whole herpetoculture was going through such a learning curve of figuring out how to keep things and breed and everything. I mean, I remember when, you know, nobody was breeding ball pythons or could get them to eat or do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was such a. Hey, bro, people tried scaring me like, hey, man, the thing with ball pythons, they're really hard to you know, for them to eat, you know? And I'm like, oh, and honestly, I remember as a kid, I do remember having a ball python that wouldn't eat. He would shut down. But I also remember using a heat rock. I also remember not having right heat. Like this thing was not kept right. I remember I burnt it, like, and I was only 6. This is my dad's fault, not mine, by the way. But I was like, what the fuck, you know, like just wasn't right. But once it, just like an emerald, just like a green tree, just like any snake, once you acclimate it properly and you give it consistency temp-wise and you don't fuck with it, nothing drastic, dude, that thing's a walk in the park. Almost anything's a walk in the park to keep if you're keeping it right.
Once you get them dialed in, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
The you know, one of the hardest things I'm dealing with this because, you know, coming back into it, I still had a ton to learn, and I have you know, tons to learn still, but I had to relearn some stuff and then adjust accordingly to, you know, there's just the improvements, the improved knowledge, all this stuff. So I had the heat rock experience. My first ball python, her stomach got burnt badly by heat rock. You know what I mean? It was miserable, and that stuff was unfortunately the norm at that point. But it thankfully changed pretty fast. And thinking back on how it was to, you know, it's really not been that long in the grand scheme of things. It's an enormous improvement of care for so many species. But getting them dialed in, and one of the hardest things to do is just getting to the point of, especially for a new keeper, leave the animal be. Don't mess with it so much. Don't stay. I mean, I you know, I get it when you have a new snake, especially something really dope like an emerald or a green tree.
Yeah.
You want to be like looking at it 24, you know what I mean? You want to be up in its face. You want to be holding it. You want to be able to do all this stuff, but you got to get it dialed in first.
Right.
You got to get the animal, you know, settled in, comfortable and eating and thriving and all that stuff. And then it gets so much easier from that point. And but getting yourself, you know, you got to get over it in your own head.
And you know what, to kind of revert back to what we were just talking about some people just having poor keeper, what am I trying to say? Keeper habits, I guess. Yeah. Like just really bad husbandry habits. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as somebody could be a bad keeper, sell really bad looking animals, just be a dirty person, guess what? They could still sell snakes. Somebody will still buy animals from them. And that's like one thing I don't understand is why people don't come together as a whole and be like, listen, this person clearly is not a fucking good keeper, or he's just an overall piece of shit. We need to not buy from him, or like something, stand together. But guess what? That would never happen, because guess what? He's gonna have that person's gonna have something. So no matter what the condition is, no matter what's happening someone's gonna want to get that snake. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting topic, and it's one that, you know, it's tricky, right? Because I'm sure everybody knows at least one person like that, where it's just like, you know, you probably know if you've been in it long enough. And I mean, in my experience, I've worked for people like that, so I know it. Like, you know, it can be extremely frustrating and everything. But the reality is that sometimes, animals that's, you know, specific species or just rare things are going to come in limited quantities, and that's, you end up going through somebody like that. I just wish some of these guys would do it that are doing it now that aren't doing it right. There's examples of people that are doing it ethically, doing it, that's works out well for the animals, and it really shouldn't be that hard. If you look at somebody like Dan from DM Exotics,
Shout out to Dan. That guy's awesome.
when I first started seeing him,
Dan.
when I first started seeing his videos, and then especially seeing the way that he acclimates things and everything, it's like, that's what I wished I could have done back in the day, if the place I worked for would have allowed that level of care and cared enough and allowed to have the proper budget to do that right. But it's again, it's not really that hard. It's just putting in the time, putting in the work, caring about the animals, and making sure that they thrive before you just try to toss them off.
If it's one person, I wouldn't say give up smoking, but he doesn't know this, but I would give up smoking for a whole episode for my man Dan. He's an ex-cop. He just doesn't. He's not a fan of it. You know what I mean? And Dan, I respect you. Don't trip, bro. Me and Dan. Dan has taken care of me when I first got into importing, and I can stand by this with 110%. Dan is the best importer I've ever done any kind of business with, bro. And
I can imagine. Yeah.
He like once Dan started dialing down and was like, yo, listen, I'm on my way checking out. I was like, there's no even point of even buying any kind of importer, and if it's not going to be from Dan, just because you're going to roll the dice, you're going to go through some shit. Something's going to die. Anything that came close to not like eating or doing good, Dan wanted it back. Like, I think I had one scrub that never ate, and I always kept in touch with them and let him know. And he was like, kind of telling me, if we get to this point, send it back and I'll take care of it. And the dude stood by his word. Anyone else, I would have got ghosted or some shit. You know what I mean? But dude, there's not any importers like Dan, bro, anymore. Unfortunately, it sucks. I know he's having a good time in Thailand with his wife and living like a king, like a fucking goddamn boss. But man, it would be great to still have. I mean, Pomona, you understand, like, it was fun to see a lot of people at the Reptile show, but it was really depressing not seeing a Dan Mori table there. To not see the DM Exotics table full of chondros and because that's one guy who brought good, beautiful looking imported chondros to his table was Dan. That shit was sick as fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he's like I said, I think he's probably the top standard of that right now. I don't know that anybody's doing it better. Now I don't know everybody. Yeah. I know that I've heard a lot of good things with Ryan Burke. I've heard obviously Harlan Wall. There's guys I've heard a lot of good things about. I just don't.
Oh, Harlan's Wall's sick. I didn't know Harlan Wall was an importer. I didn't know that.
I could be wrong about that. I think he used to.
Probably back in the day. Back in the day stuff.
I might be wrong about that. I don't know. I just know that I think back in the day I believe he did, and I've heard almost unanimous essentially good things about him with that, and I've heard a lot of good things about Ryan Burke's chondros. So yeah, there's a few people doing it right. They're just still few and far between. But thankfully, overall, the big thing for me thinking back in the day compared to now is that the overall level of care is just so much better across the board, even if it doesn't seem like it sometimes, because there's still stuff that needs improved. Like if you think about Petcos and stuff like this, like as whack as some Petcos can be, when you go in them, it's better than what it used to be. It's still significantly better than it used to be, in my opinion. Because
it's funny you say that, because they have slowly evolved. Like, it's still a Petco, don't get me wrong, but like if you do pay attention, they do like have something better than than just having them there on a piece on some sand or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I think back to the early pet stores that we used to go to, the exception of one that was a reptile specialty store, it was abysmal. Honestly, it was kind of unbelievable how bad the situation was back then. And so that you really, at least in my experience, you don't see that as often. You really rarely ever see that anymore. I think it's the improvement is there, and that's thanks to all the people that pioneered care, pioneered husbandry, showed people how to do stuff right, and leveled things up.
But let me ask you this, and it's before we kind of dip into the journey of what you're into right now as far as what you're producing and all that, I do want to say as much as there's so much information being put out there and the right information, like, you know, shout out to the like couple groups I'm still a part of on Facebook, because it's hard to be a part of any Facebook group. As you know, it's fucking difficult, man. There's some fucking hard-headed motherfuckers in these Facebook groups, and you gotta understand, you know, I do respect the ones who are more vocal in the Facebook group, who are really working with these more than anyone else. Like the ones who are literally like, you know, Ryan Woolison, you know, Ed Marino, yourself. Like when you guys, Bill, you know, or not Bill, I don't think Bill doesn't work with emeralds, never mind. But anyways, with chondros, when Bill chimes in and all that, like this is coming from actual experience. And you got to admit, bro, still at least 3 out of 10 people who post and get all this great information will look past through that information, and they'll say, well, I'm going to do this because I feel like this is what I feel like is right. You know, like this guy right here, and no offense to this guy, because God bless him, he just doesn't know better. And I've posted something on this Emerald Facebook page years ago where somebody said, you know, I remember I named something half patternless, and there's no such thing as half patternless, right? Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that. But bro, you should have saw the way they fucking rang me in the comments, and I was like, they're like, quit making shit up, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, fuck. But like, really, I didn't know. Like, I just like, that's what somebody told me that sold it, you know, and I was just like, holy shit. So at first, I understand like how it could be them getting on you, but honestly, these are people who are legitimately passionate and sick and tired of seeing hard-headed idiots come in here, post shit. What do you guys think? Okay, I'm keeping it anyways. What do you think of this enclosure? Okay, I'll keep the heat lamps anyways. And then you never see them again, and they fucking another one down the wind, you know? So then you have these fucking assholes who are like, well, quit picking on these guys. You guys are just, how about you shut the fuck up? And we're just tired of seeing emeralds die. If an emerald is fucking like a skeleton and it has no width or no body weight, how do you think that person's going to feel when that emerald dies on them? You think he's going to want to throw down another $600? You fucking idiot. So yeah, that's why we go in on these people, because they need the rude awakening. It's not easy, bro. Nobody said keeping emeralds is easy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like hanging out with a group of guys who are tough as shit and they fucking pick on you a little bit. Don't come around then. You know, don't fucking kick it then if that's what it is. And I'm not trying to say you're going to always get bullied in these Facebook groups, but guess what? Somehow there is bullying going on in a Facebook group. I don't give a fuck who's doing it. It's still somebody. Like the guy called me a fucking loser. Oh, well, I mean, should I go on this rant about how you hurt my feelings? You call me a fucking loser. No, I don't give a fuck what you call me, but still, like, you're not helping it. Like, it's just kind of like, it's one big pot of shit in Facebook. It's like this. And like, even when anything like, you know, Ed Marino posts, oh, glorious. Christopher Rice production, glorious. Socrates, glorious. And then some dickhead has to ruin it with some shit like that. And then and then next, you know, it's a negative fucking post, you know, but dude, it's coming with the territory no matter what happens in Facebook. That's why Facebook, man, it's way less is more with Facebook. Because if you do more, you're going to be caught into that shit, fucking elephant graveyard shit that nobody's growing out of. Facebook's fucking just it's a dead end, bro. I'm sorry.
It's such a double-edged sword right now, because it's, as a platform, it sucks in a lot of ways. It really sucks in so many ways. It brings out the worst out of so many people. It does. The only thing that's kind of salvageable, and it's a problem, I think, going forward in the future, is that because when things shifted from forums over to Facebook, it's like all, you know, so much used to take place on forums, and that information kind of still is there, but Facebook basically owns everything that's on any of these groups, and they can kill it at any point that they feel like. So there's plenty of good information to be had there if you're willing to listen to it, like you were getting into. If you're willing to listen to it, if you're willing to you know, take it seriously instead of just be bold and be ignorant, basically, which is what you see a lot of. And I try not to get caught up into it. It's not that I don't get tempted. Believe me, there's times where I feel like, saying some, you know, that I think all of us have that in us to want to talk a little bit of shit sometimes. And I get tempted plenty of times, but generally I keep it to myself. I may have gotten into a few things. But I try to keep it minimal.
Because listen, you have to. Here's the thing. Here's the Facebook. And this is me, bro. And anyone who knows me, shout out to Sock. Like Sock. So this guy, you know, God bless him. Like, you know, he deals with a lot with me. But I mean, if I don't like seeing things just being brushed through, if if it's something that should be spoken on. You know what I mean? And for instance, I'm going to bring this most recent post up where this guy who's like, hey, look at this beautiful emerald. And you legit have people saying, don't do it. It looks too skinny. Like, and this is just coming from experience. And he's like going, well, nah, it doesn't look skinny to me. Like literally and I think it after a while, it becomes entertaining. If you want to go see, and it's not really good entertainment, it's kind of fucked up entertainment. I've come a long ways, man. I used to be really toxic. So this is why Facebook isn't really like, I mean, look what happens when I do go on Facebook. I end up fucking tearing people apart, and I try not to, but they're idiots. And I don't let idiots slide. I don't. So what I'm trying to say is it's difficult, especially when like, bro, I have, rest in peace, Forrest Fanning, and my boy, man. But Forrest Fanning, did you know who Forrest was?
Yeah, I never met him, but of course I knew of him and saw videos with him and saw some of I think I saw a couple of the early podcasts that you guys were doing.
Forrest is every reason behind the way I am on this. So is Miguel Garcia, but Forrest. Okay, the only reason why any podcast even started was because Forrest and I wanted to do it together. But he was like, I'm only doing this because you have the balls to say that I don't want to say. Like you're gonna say shit, and that's fine because I used to be that person, but I'm not that person no more. Because Forrest says after so long, you just don't give a shit. And me, when I met Forrest, I was like 2 years into this, so I was like, dude, I still sound like I'm 2 years into this. I'm super fresh, as you can hear, but I'm just very passionate. But anyways, Forrest was like, bro, a lot of shit that you are caring about, I used to care about 10 years ago, and it hasn't changed. That's why I just don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, he used to tell me, speak your shit. Like somebody does need to say it. But because Forrest had a multi-million-dollar business, Cold Blooded Cafe, he had the most rarest private collection in the country. He's careful he has to be careful with what he says. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm some fucking ex-drug dealer who's changing his life just by I'm content. I don't need a multi-million-dollar road in business. I'm loving life right now. So guess what? I'm going to speak the fucking truth. Yeah. But Chris, I'm only trying to speak facts. And the thing is, a lot of experienced keepers they're just rather, that is so true, but I'm just going to.
Yeah, because it's a part of it, honestly, is just how much time it can suck too, because you can go down a rabbit hole with this.
You can.
Like I said, I get tempted. I get tempted plenty of times to dig in, and I will. What I've been trying to do is try to be constructive when I say stuff to people that even though I may want to be not so constructive,
right.
Realistically, there's part of me that wants to go off, but I'm just trying not to. I'm trying not to.
It feels so good. I'm sorry, bro.
I know. Believe me,
bro,
I know.
It hurts. Like, okay, okay. One of the reasons why I love sock is because sock helped. Like, I had really bad heartburn. Like, my diet was fucked. Like, I mean, our diet it still isn't that great, but sock really helped me get my fucking gut check better. Like, I could actually breathe better. What was I going with this? Hold on. Fuck. What were we talking about? Just God.
I was saying I was trying to be more constructive with it, but the temptation to dig in is there for sure.
I had a fucking good point that I was gonna make right now, and my mind just fucking brain farted. But anyways, listen. At the end of the day, humans are idiots. Let's get back to what we were talking about. I want to start, okay, because right now, Chris, if it's one of the things I'm most excited to have you on about is the fact that you are successfully breeding green tree pythons and emeralds. Okay, so you took a long break from keeping reptiles. So let's speed up to the year where you started collecting chondros or emeralds. What year was this, and what was first? Was it emeralds or was it chondros?
It was chondros, and it was 2017. So
2017. Wow, yeah. That's right when I came in. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I hadn't kept anything in I don't know, 10 years or more. I was always around. I mean, it was always around because, like I said, all my good friends, have always had snakes. Basically, my friends got, Barry. Like I said, Barry Swope is one of my oldest, longest friends. If you breed ball pythons, you might know his name. He's been around for a long time, doing amazing stuff with ball pythons. So he's never, he never got out of them. Maybe very brief little bits of time, but he's always kept with it. And so I'd still, go to his place to see the collection. It's like, damn, dude, you really you stuck with it. It's crazy the level he took things to. And but when I got back into it, two of my good friends brothers, my friend Chris passed away in 2017.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, he was, we were pretty similar about our kind of way we were with snakes. Like we were both probably a little crazy as far as handling stuff that, just grabbing something out, he was amazing. He really loved animals, and he kept a lot of cool stuff back in the day, and he still had some stuff at the time, and he had a young green tree python that actually was produced by Kittinger Reptiles, Jason Kittinger, shout out to him.
Right, respect.
Another dude, yeah, great dude's been around forever. Known him for a long time now. I don't know him super well, but always been, amazing. I know he's good friends with Swope. So he had this young chondro when he passed. I think he was 2 years old, and his brother Mike offered the snake to me. And I hesitated briefly in my mind, just a little bit, because I'm just like, I don't know if I really want to do it. But I mean, it was very short lived, and I just didn't know if my girlfriend was going to want to tolerate them, because she knew the stories from back in the day of how many I had back in the day and stuff. And so I didn't know if she was going to be like, I don't want you having a million snakes again. But I thought, all right, I definitely want to. I got to take this snake. I always loved green tree pythons. Since I was a little kid, we all loved them. They were amazing. So I was like, yeah, of course, I'll take him. And it was funny how my rationale, I basically bullshitted myself. I thought, like, all right, I'm just going to keep this one snake. I really appreciate this one, and it's going to be so cool. Just I don't need to have more than one. I don't think I had that snake for probably more than an hour before the gears are turning. I'm like, oh, I need to get a female, and well, what about this and what about that? So, but I did keep just that snake for about a year, I think, and then I picked up a young was actually a wild caught Biak that I just couldn't resist. It had a lot of yellow and was really nice. And
where'd you get that wild caught from?
Got to the Daytona show.
Daytona show. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of a classic mistake. Shouldn't have bought it type of situation.
Oh, of course.
I couldn't resist.
But this is why, like, I don't like, as much as I say, like, oh, like imports, be careful, dude. I'm such a I can't be a hypocrite, because if I'm at a show and I've worked with enough imports to spot a healthy one. I mean, yeah, you can't spot Nido, but if you want to roll that dice, if you see something with a good tongue flicker and it has good body weight and you have quarantine space and you want to, I mean, you just understand you're going to roll the fucking dice. It's 50-50. You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
But let me ask you, hold on. I'm sorry, Chris. I got to ask you, from your experience, since we're talking about this right now, for anybody out there who's on the fence about buying a chondro or has the money for buying a chondro and he's either on a 2-year waiting list but go to shows, do you to this day think they should not even, should they shut off looking at chondros at shows, or do you still feel like you should even give snakes at a show a chance?
I would say it depends on the level of experience you've got and who it's coming from.
Your first snake.
First snake, no.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't say that. Unless it's if it was like Dan, maybe. Yeah, I mean, if it was Dan.
Right.
Unless it's somebody like Dan, I can't think of anybody else that would be at a show that I've ever seen that I would recommend that. And that's because Dan's gonna, make sure that animal's solid before it were to go home, and then I'm sure he would provide support with it. But generally speaking, no, and emeralds even less so. And this, and I don't want to be. It's tricky because I don't want to be hypocritical. Like I don't want to pretend like imports are the worst, because I've got them, and I'm in the process of establishing and getting that going with emeralds to try to make more captive bred, because there just aren't any. And this is a necessary step to get there. There has to be that work done to establish some bloodlines, some more bloodlines, to get this stuff going before you can be at a point where it's anywhere close to where it should be as far as the captives. But the reality is, for your first snake, you go to a show and you pick up what is more than likely going to be an unhealthy chondro or an unhealthy emerald. You're gonna have a pretty awful experience with it. You're gonna be, especially I would say the emeralds more so. because the chances of something going wrong or just already being wrong, and you're really dealing with an animal that has essentially zero chance to survive right out of the gate is very high. And it's if you've been working with them for a long time, like I said, I do it. That's what I'm working with, is a lot of imports. But again, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant about it or anything like this, but I do have a pretty unique amount of experience. I've seen a lot of wild-caught animals come through back in the day, years of seeing that stuff. And I've got a pretty good eye of seeing when something is just like an absolute, this one is not going to make it. So I just don't even, I don't even play the game if it looks like that. I'm super, super, super selective, but you're still gambling with that.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, as much as I'm like, fuck, imports, dude, if it wasn't for the imports, I wouldn't have the eye that I have with these snakes right now and know how to spot that something's not acting right, or something's like, I know what a perfectly healthy chondro looks like perched, and I know what a not so healthy chondro looks like perched. I know what a healthy emerald looks like perched, and I know what a not so healthy, there's signs you look at, you know what I mean? And there's just things that you start to read that, not too many things are able to show you like an import. Like I said, I have a freezer full of things, full of blessings. I call them blessings because those are losses I'll never forget taking. You know what I mean? And I'll remember that shit. And even with those things dying, I still got more imports. It's like I was almost like after getting something to thrive. Like I was like, dude, I'm tired of things dying. There's no way everything's going to keep dying. And sure enough, I did start keeping and establishing things. But then even when you're on a good roll and you keep buying imports, guess what? Something's going to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to be real careful. And it's the whole thing with imports is like I said, it's a tricky subject. And I think people tend to want to be real hardcore for it or against it.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
And I'm right there in the middle. I'm like, it's your choice. I'm like, it's what you want to do. It could be good or bad depending on what your situation is. You know what I mean?
I think it depends on the species too. Like,
and the species.
There's just a lot of factors at play. Like there's a lot, and the status of the species. Like, so to just take things back a little bit, for me, like the ball python game, what's happening now, like it's all still kind of new. I can't keep up with all the morphs and all this shit. I remember with some of that stuff, Barry and I were talking about it because we had, at one point we were getting in shipments, I don't remember the largest ball python baby shipment we got in, but this was even direct from Ghana. I don't know, 500 of them at a time, something like this, 600 at a time. And you could see some, no doubt we had things pass through that, probably kind of bitter about the fact that we just didn't know what it was. You didn't realize that something like yellow bellies meant anything. And some of these kind of like more, to me anyway, since I'm not familiar with them, some of this more subtle morph stuff. But to get on the topic of husbandry and caring for them, it's like that used to be a situation where, these super, super fresh imported babies was all there was. Nobody was captive breeding these things at that point. And so it's either that or, big imported adults that, used to come in covered in ticks, and I was the guy pulling the ticks off.
God.
You know what I mean? Sitting there with tweezers trying to carefully pull these things off. And now it's so much better. So that, with a species like that, unless it's something really, really special, there's no sense in getting any kind of imported snake there. And we ideally try to work towards that. Again, it's just my opinion. We try to work towards that for everything, but we're not there with everything yet. And I think that there needs to be careful, really careful. Like I said, I'm hesitant even to promote that kind of stuff at all, but just very careful work with imports by experienced keepers to work towards the goal of it not being necessary so much anymore to have some of those animals coming in.
Well,
And that's just my current status on it. That may evolve over time. But I just don't want to, one thing I have seen that used to go on back in the day and it still goes on now that I just personally, it irks me a little bit to see is like, I don't want to be kind of hypocritical and try to do the thing where it's like, I've seen people where they have a giant collection of imports and they, establish a big collection of imports and they breed the stuff and they got all this stuff going and then kind of almost pretend like that's not what they did. You know what I mean? Or like kind of get a little bit on a soapbox about that. So I don't want to really do that, but I have nothing but respect for somebody like Ed who did the opposite thing where he's like, Ed's the real, I mean, it goes without saying, Ed's the real deal. Ed is
the real deal.
The
real deal Holyfield. I can tell you that right there.
Yeah.
It's funny in you see idiots fucking go over Ed's advice. Even when Ed chooses to put his energy into a comment, you'll still have people challenge Ed on shit, and it's like, and that's why it's like at the end of the day, you just don't even put your, and I should be listening to myself, but don't even put energy into that shit because you just have people that just don't want to listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes time to get, like I said, the temptation's there for me. I see posts all the time, and I want to dig in. I rarely do because I just don't. I know it's gonna fall on deaf ears for the most part. You can kind of get a sense from the tone, at least to me, like you can see early on in threads like that where it's like the ignorance level's too high. You're not going to be able to break through that. You're not, there's no way you're breaking through that ignorance level with that person. So they're going to have to unfortunately learn the really shitty way. They're going to lose that animal and then they're going to maybe after that look back and go, oh yeah, maybe a guy like Ed Marino who's been doing it for, longer than I've been alive. Maybe he might know what he's talking about and I should have listened or something,
And what's crazy? There are people out there who have put their, I'm actually one of them, to be honest. In the beginning, when I first came into this, I definitely saw some people who were speaking out, and then you're like, who the fuck is this? And then as you want to know who one of these people are? Oh, I love bringing this up. Okay. And because this guy's like, we're homies now, man. But guess who's somebody who I just couldn't fucking stand? And mainly because of his fucking yoga poses. But Patrick Holmes. Patrick Holmes.
It's gotta be Patrick.
And this is and keep in mind, bro, this is right before I knew he was an ex-felon, prison inmate, badass, fucking did time with the roughest motherfuckers. I just thought like, who the fuck is this fucking guy posing with his yoga? And he did have nice contours, but all I could see is his yoga pics. That's all I was focused on. And I just had no respect for him just because of his yoga pics. And this is like when I was really worse at this point in my life. But anyways, and then as you dig, and then Forrest is the one that really kind of put me on track on like who was who. And he was like, this is Patrick. And I was like, oh damn, that guy's pretty sick. And then then I talked to Patrick and he's like the most informative, awesome fucking guy. Like, dude, it's Patrick's one of the best friends like I have in the Chondro game that like he's always a phone call away. He's busy too. Like the guy's nonstop, but Patrick is a well of knowledge, dude. Like just huge wealth of knowledge. Like I respect to Patrick Holmes, but you just never really know, man. Like, and I've been a victim. I'm not a victim, but I've been guilty of doing that to people like Patrick Holmes and shit like that. So,
well, when you're early in on it too, like I mean, and said something with that platform, with Facebook specifically. You don't see it as much on Instagram. You don't, even though Facebook owns them, it's the same kind of thing in a way. But you don't see it as much. There's just something. I think it's probably the Facebook. I mean, shit came out about that. It's the algorithms are designed to basically encourage this kind of stuff, to encourage negative engagement so that they're able to, keep everybody locked in. And so that's the stuff that gets people riled up. And
right.
It's part of human nature too. Like I said, everybody has something, at least a little bit, even the most peaceful people have at least a little bit of something in them that wants to talk some shit sometimes and challenge somebody and everything. So it's there, but Yeah, and the funny thing on that too. So you said you kind of started off on the wrong foot with him, but then look how good of friends you guys are. Sometimes that's not like this.
You just gotta own it. Like, here's the thing, bro. Like, I've come so far in my life to where I could own my own bullshit now. Like, I know when I fuck up. Like, I know when I'm like on the old school MJ shit. Like, hey, listen, that you were wrong for saying that. Like, I know, like, and I know my line. And sometimes I don't care to cross it. Like, I know when I'm crossing the line. Let's just say that. So if I ever do really cross the line, understand that MJ wanted to cross it and didn't give a fuck. And that's still kind of my problem. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that what were we talking about? My mind went blanking. What were we talking about right before that?
Talking about just like starting off on the wrong foot and
challenging
people that were
but
actually know what they're doing. Like
but remending shit, like just coming out and saying, listen, my bad. Like, I'm not really like the best person at, whatever the fuck. Just own your shit and stop being, well, it was them. No, motherfucker. All these people that I do talk about in the Facebook shit starting, it's them. It is them. It's you. It is me. It is whoever, like the person that has an issue in the comments, that's you. You're the problem. That's all I got to say. And, that's why, like, Chris, I wish I have your power, and Socrates and Bill and a lot of guys who are so heavy in this game who just sit back and just watch the fucking chaos going on in the comments and just, I'm not there yet. I'm sorry. I'm still 4 years into this.
You'll get there over time.
I'm not there yet. I'm sorry.
Down. Honestly, some of it's just getting worn down, and just literally you got to go through the time of seeing it, and you're like, ah, shit, all right. Because some of these things, like on this topic, it just popped in my head for some reason. Like, ignorance like that's everywhere, man. When we were, this little memory's been in my head forever because I remember how much this pissed me off at the time. When I think we were like 13, 14, something like this, maybe 15 years old. My close group of friends, Barry Swope, Mike Fabrizios, and Barry Hudson and stuff. Like, we all kept these. We were all keeping reptiles at that time. We were all huge into them, and we ended up doing a little volunteer thing where we brought snakes up to try to kind of educate people at a pet fair. It was primarily dogs and cats, and it wasn't really a reptile thing. But I don't remember how we got into this. Somehow we stumbled into this situation, this opportunity to teach there. And so we brought some cages, old Neodesha cage with my, I think I had my albino Burmese at the time in there, and a few different stuff. And I remember I was telling it was just somebody who was asking about like how many venomous snakes there were in the state. And at the time I knew, I can't remember exactly what the number is now, but at the time I knew, and so I was telling exactly what they were. And I knew I knew the shit. I learned that from a book. I knew exactly what it was. And this redneck dude just like cuts in. So it was like a real life Facebook thing. This redneck guy just cuts into the conversation. He's like, there's a hell of a lot more than that as far as the number of species. And it's like you see that same kind of thing now. Somebody trying to point out an emerald's not looking so good. And then somebody else who probably doesn't know what they're talking about interjects and say, oh, it looks great. It looks healthy. I just saw that probably the same thread, honestly, we were talking about earlier.
Oh my, okay. I will say, bro, and it's like, I don't mean to be judgmental, but it's so easy to be judgmental on what kind of person who's posting just by clicking on their profile pic. I'm sorry, but all I gotta do is be like,
sometimes.
For the most part, you're like, who the fuck is this person? And you just see like they're either like the most cockiest, like, look at me, like I'm fucking know what I'm doing. It's like, oh my god, they had this one guy. His name was Rocky. Okay, his name was Rocky. I remember the guy Rocky who posted in the Emerald-TreeBoa page. He's the one. So dude, he had legit people putting like long advice, and I was reading all the advice. I'm like, bro, this is great advice. Everything's straightforward. The next day, he puts a heating pad. He tapes it to the side of the big ass Exoterra that he has this fucking Neo in. And then he has 3 red fluorescent bulbs on top, just red bulbs at night, just fucking shitting on it. All you see,
hot dog at 7-Eleven. It sounds like.
all you see, bro. All you see is he had like one of those magnetic ledges. You know those things at the pet shops, the magnetic. He had a ledge at the very bottom. This poor thing was perched at the very bottom of the ledge. He had all these perches, but he was on the ledge. That poor fucking snake, bro. And like
Probably stressed out.
that's why I get heated, bro. That's why I get heated, because we're supposed to just be like, oh, hey guys, let him go. Or we're supposed to be like, hey, no man, let him, oh no, go, you're an idiot. How about I'll let you go, you fucking moron. For like, you got to speak up. And why am I doing this podcast? So people are aware, and so if I see negligence like that, I'm not going to let that shit slide. And, if anyone has a problem with me speaking up in the Facebook group, I've been kicked out of groups before. So if I'm not kicked out, then they must not have a problem with it. So there's that, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it gets old, Chris. It gets old, bro. Like it gets old, bro. And honestly, like, I just feel, I don't know what to feel no more. To be honest, I don't even give a fuck about the Facebook groups, because we haven't even talked about your shit, and I'm more in tuned about what's going on with you right now, to be honest. So let's revert back here, Chris, to the import you picked up. So you're like, okay, let me just get one snake, and then you immediately was like, I need to get something to pair to this snake, right? And that
it just came. I mean, just the urge to. You know how it is. There's these animals are incredible, especially when having kept a bunch of different stuff back in the day. For whatever reason, 1's never enough, and 2's never enough, and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. So I thought I would be cool just keeping the 1, and then it was like, I just wanted another one, so I picked that second. It was a little import Biak. Still have her. She had a clutch last year. It's a pure Biak type clutch last year.
Damn.
And, so she's been a real solid, but I had to work. I had to put work into getting her health. Getting her health to where I needed it to be.
Let's talk about. That's exactly what I was hoping you were going to say. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you went through with her, and if we could just take it from the beginning. Like, what was it like when you first brought her in? And let's take us through your quarantine steps too. Like, what's your process when all that?
Well, so quarantine stuff is something I'm still. I'm always trying to improve that, because that's the key, almost beyond anything at this point, is trying to do that, figuring out what your situation, what your personal situation is, and keeping things isolated as much as possible, and trying not to cross contaminate stuff, because that's especially from having the experience back in the day. Working at the importer, that's one of the things I started learning by trial and error at that time, was just things like, instead of keeping every single one of these little boa constrictors all, if you get a batch of Colombians in, 100 of them, 200 of them, little Colombian boas, instead of putting them all in the same thing and they're all drinking the same water and shitting in the water and sharing it and everything, and then they're all getting sick really quick, separate as many of them as you can, keep them isolated. So I kept this little Biak. Again, this was 2017, so I knew at that point I needed to keep her isolated, so I kept her in a separate room. Always wash my hands between handling her and the Ricky James, which was the one I got from my boy Chris, and then working to establish her at that time. She didn't want to eat. It's a classic thing that a lot of them do. Didn't want to eat. In hindsight, I was still keeping her probably a little too hot, and I didn't keep her quite right. It didn't give her enough security, and didn't leave her alone enough. But I worked on that, just kind of trying to observe the animal, seeing what she needs. Kept trying to work on getting her to feed. And let's see, I think she didn't eat for probably a few weeks, something like that, just a few weeks, and then I got her to take I think the first meal she took was a frozen thawed mouse, small adult mouse.
Whoa. Okay,
so go from there.
So hold on. So she didn't eat for a few weeks, and you were offering frozen thawed this entire time, or were you switching it up and putting live? Like, what were you doing?
And I rarely do live. I don't like to do it. I'm a softie for one thing. I don't like to do it because I don't like to feed live stuff.
Damn, respect. Wow. Okay.
And then I try not to ever do it. I don't think it's often as necessary as it seems. Sometimes it is, and sometimes that's what works. But I think it tends to be down to more like the heat of the prey, the frozen thawed prey that you're offering, the movement you're doing, scenting it. You know what I mean?
Do you soak your prey? It's soaked, isn't it?
I do. I've seen on here you hate it. I know you hate, but that's an old. Here's the thing. I cracked up when you said that on past interviews because you always make fun of that stuff. But that's the way I always, that's the way we were taught to do it back in the day. That's what you always did. And there's the benefit of them being hydrated. And you have the thing where it's, you're taking, you can warm them up in the water, nice and hot, and then just immediately take it out, quick dry, offer to the animal while it's still warm. It's just kind of convenient to do, even though I know I know you hate it. So.
It's not that I hate
it. Well for me, so.
Listen, after hearing a lot of, you understand my whole reason behind like, ew, that's gross is like, I didn't really know the whole hydration part of it, which helps. And, there are a lot of, pros why you should go that route, but you just don't have to. It's not like something you
I don't think you have to.
You don't have to. It just helps. Like, especially if you're somebody who's in a really dry area, or if you have like, if you're really against, spraying, or if you just can't spray in your area, then I can understand why you'd want to soak the shit out of your animals. Like, I mean, the rodents before feeding them. But me, like I said, I don't have like, dude, I have really good humidity where I'm at, knock on wood. Everything's good where I'm at. So I just don't need to soak. And, for, sanitation wise, like for it just not passing anything that could really have nido, you're, more likely it's not going to happen if you're not soaking, if you're not using forceps, dipping it into fucking a bucket of, water rats fucking shit. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, I know where you're getting at. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and I'm trying to, like I said, it's the thing I'm always trying to improve. So I try to use separate tongs for everything.
I was gonna say you have separate forceps for everything. I'm assuming, or what do you do?
For quarantine, absolutely, yeah. And then I'm gonna probably just start using separate tongs for every single snake. Just to keep it consistent, keep it, as sanitary as possible there. But like I'll sanitize in between feeding, like in the same rack of hatchlings. But that's an example of it's working well, and I haven't had any problems with it so far. But I can step that up further and just go to individual tongs there. I actually was just thinking I might just start, as I've been trying to get a few of these baby emeralds to eat. I've been using chopsticks, and it works pretty well.
Really?
Chopsticks, yeah. Just toss them afterwards.
Oh shit! I mean, it's cheaper.
I mean, it's I don't know if I'll actually do that, but it would just cross my mind today. I'm like, this is working all right.
Damn, you become a chopstick pro.
But
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So okay. I'm sorry. So a few weeks it took you for it to take a frozen thawed hopper or fuzzy or what?
Yeah,
what did it take?
A hopper, small adult mouse.
Did it take off after that? Like was it?
No, it wasn't like a one and done, and then it's perfect from there. It was a couple of feedings were like a little iffy, but it didn't take too long for her to kind of get with the program there. And for me, with getting something, trying to get establishing a wild caught subadult or adult green tree or emeralds, I think that's the only wild caught green tree I have had. Well, I have a story from back in the day. Technically, my first green tree was back when I worked at the importer. We'll go into that later. But that, I've had pretty good luck, and I've had a decent amount of experience establishing them, getting them to feed. So I don't normally have a ton of trouble with that. And I don't know if there's really it's not really one singular thing to get them going. It's just kind of seeing what each individual animal is responding to is a big part of it. And
luck of the draw too, right? I mean,
and luck of the draw, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's luck of the draw. There's plenty of them where you try every single technique, and still no response. But I do feel over time, having worked with stuff, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting better at it with the Neo Chondros and this is the first litter of Neo Emeralds I've had, so I'm still working on them. But you start picking up on all the subtle stuff and noticing little things that work and trying little techniques. And I'm not afraid to try anything unorthodox. I don't, unless it's clearly insane. I'm not going to do something totally insane. But I think trying something that's maybe a little bit thinking outside of the box can sometimes get good results.
Right. So let me ask you this, Chris. So I mean, at what point, with you know, like you waited a few weeks to offer this neo frozen thawed, you know, and you kept doing frozen thawed. But, you know, I'm curious, at what point do you resort to assist feeding or force feeding? Like, do you even believe in that?
I'm not against it. Well, I guess I don't think about it too much. So I didn't need to with her. She wasn't, you know, close to that point. So with a neonate, I only force fed in 2020 the clutch of a Rubiox that I had. I got super paranoid because, you know, you're stressed out and trying to get them to eat, and you're pulling your hair out trying to get them to eat. I started getting, you know, you fall into that kind of trap of fear. Like, oh god, it's gonna die in 2 minutes if I don't get a meal into it right away. You know,
Right.
it's been a week since it hatched or whatever. So
Right.
I don't know. I think it was like a few weeks or a month or so passed, and I panicked, and I force fed 2 of those neonates a pinky, and it was a miserable experience, and I just didn't enjoy it. I don't think it's really that stressful on the snakes if you know how to do it, and I knew how to do it from back in the day. I think it can be done safely, and that sometimes that's what you end up having to do to get a baby started. But I think that's the only time I've had to force feed anything. I do assist feeds for sure. You know, some different forms of assist feeds, but I've been kind of tweaking how I do that as well. I try not to.
Give us some examples if you can. Like, what are some of the things you do to assist feed? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, so what I had done with the 2020 clutch of chondros, I was doing, you know, like take, you know, the frozen, like take a frozen thawed pinky and do just the head, just the pinky head, and use tongs, put that into the snake's mouth, kind of get it started basically, and then let up and let it swallow it. And you can do that with different stuff, with, you know, a mouse tail. I think people are successfully doing like leg of a mouse and things like that as well, which is pretty cool. It's probably a lot easier. I haven't actually tried that yet, but I'm sure it's easier.
Patrick told me about that.
It's no doubt that's probably a really slick way of doing that, because it just kind of, you know, smoothly goes down.
Just get a real sharp knife. otherwise it's going to be messy.
Yeah, it's bad enough, man. I'm not a fan of doing the pinky head thing. It's pretty whack, but you got to do what you got to do.
Disgusting.
My girlfriend laughs so much about that stuff. She's like, shit you get into is weirder every day, but
it sure is.
But so with the baby chondros, basically, the main thing I was doing before was, like, you know, trying to, you know, tease them with it in the tub, with it, like, you know, like Harlan Wall, I think was the one that I remember reading about, describing the technique of using the pinky head. I would either do it with tongs or with a little skewer, and tease the snake in the tub. But that to me was driving me nuts. Like I was doing that and stressing out, and, you know, you got the ones that are just runners, and it's like they're not responding to that no matter what you do. They're just not responding. And just the way that my mind works, I'm immediately just thinking, like, I got to figure out a better way to do this. I got to figure out an easier way to do this, to get this thing to eat.
Yeah.
And I've, you know, tried a million different things, and nothing was really working. And the thing that I've personally found that was, you know, it's kind of relieved the stress for me of getting a lot of the babies feeding, is doing the kind of lightly restrained tease feeding method that Dan from DM Exotics demonstrated really, really well on his channel. I saw him doing that with a baby Boyega, and I was like, you know, I saw that, and I'm like, let me try that. Let me see if I can give that a go. And I've had really good results doing it. It's still tough. It's still.
What does he do? What do you do?
It's lightly restrained. So basically, you know, you're still tease feeding, and in this case with them, it's still like a frozen thawed pinky head. You're still tease feeding, but you're trying to elicit a strike by, you know, this, like, say you got a runner chondro that's just no matter what you do, not going to strike, and you hold the snake. Of course, you have to be really, really gentle with this. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody that's heavy-handed with the animals. Like, I see a lot of people holding their baby chondros. I saw one the other day that it's like, you know, the guy's strangling this tiny little baby chondro, and it drove me nuts the way people handle them sometimes. You've got to be real light-handed with them, but you basically very lightly restrain the body, leave about a first third of the head and neck, first third of the body, so just basically the head and neck free, and just try to kind of, with them lightly restrained like that, they can't run, they can't do, they can't escape. So you kind of, try to lightly tease it and get it to strike. And I found that after doing that for a little while, I can get every single one of them to eat eventually. I don't give up until it eats.
So what you do, okay, because a lot of people who've told me what to do with runners is like try again in 15 minutes, or close the tub.
I don't go straight to that. Again, it's just going with each individual snake, because it's like they all have levels of, it's not really stupidity, but it's almost like it's like levels of stupidity. Like, how thick-headed is this snake as far as not understanding what it needs to be doing with feeding? But I go to that lightly restrained tease feeding method once it seems clear to me that the snake's not going to respond any other way. I'm always trying first. You just try to, the common kind of tease feeding in the tub, trying to elicit a strike. Scenting is another one. Sometimes, some of them I've had take off pretty easily with just some chick down scents, or even rat fur worked a couple times. This year I tried chicken broth, which is surprisingly worked well, particularly in combination with chick down.
Super hot.
Yeah, nice and warm, not blazing hot, obviously.
Hot.
Yeah, you gotta get it warm. And to me, that seemed to work for the ones that, in particular, like the ones that will strike and grab, and oftentimes they'll wrap, and then they spit it out. They just spit it out. And so looking at enough of them doing that, I kept just looking at the behavior of the snake, and I'm like, well, I don't know that it's the weight of the pinky in this case, because strike, wrap it, its body's on the floor of the tub. It's not really like it's having to hold this pinky up. It's real heavy for it. It seemed to be clearly they're repulsed by the taste of a pinky. Who wouldn't be? You know what I mean? Who wouldn't be?
Shit smells. I don't like it. Oops.
So so I tried chicken broth. I'd seen that suggested somewhere. I wish I could remember exactly where. But I saw that suggested somewhere and gave it a try, and it worked pretty well. Like I said, in particular with the chick down, and all it really seems to do, I don't think that it seemed to kind of mask the taste of the pinky enough when they grab it, to where then they would kind of hold it for a while, and then they started swallowing. So that worked well for me.
So Chris, but the first time, like, let's just talk about a fresh shed out clutch of neos. You don't resort to chick down and the broth right away, right? You try just a normal thought out pinky.
No, I try chick down right away.
Right away. Okay. So first off,
you always see if they'll just take it unscented first. That'd be ideal if it just right off the bat takes an unscented frozen thawed pink, and there's no
so you do try unscented first.
I'll try that first, just to see, because you kind of might as well see if they go for it. You know what I mean? I had a couple that did. It's like, all right, amazing,
Right.
But the chick down was, as far as scenting, I don't remember what all I tried. I've tried chick down, I've tried rat fur, mouse fur, chicken broth. I did get one time to feed using, I rubbed the skink's tail on a pinky mouse.
Right.
Surprisingly worked. It was a one-off thing, though. It didn't work again. I didn't get any others to do it that way. That's the thing that sucks about, I'm sure obviously everybody knows that. There doesn't seem to be one singular, like, this works for every single baby chondro, at least not yet.
Right.
So I try a bunch of different stuff like that. But I always, I think with chick down, it works pretty well in getting some of them going pretty early on.
I think Mark from Texas Chondros goes to Petco and gets like the parakeet feathers or some shit too. That works.
I did try that one time, and I think it was parakeets, and I didn't get a result. But again, could be, who knows why. I could absolutely see where it would work.
Right.
Yeah, I mean and I don't even know. Again, I'm just still trying to figure it out. I don't know why the chick down works because they're obviously not eating birds at that age in the wild. I almost think it's still maybe it gets kind of down to the like it's masking the pinky scent that they seem to be repulsed by. I mean, you figure we're trying to get these things to eat something that they just don't eat in the wild. They're not eating frozen thawed.
You want to know what Ryan Young has on deck? Ryan Young has baby blue tongue skink, little lizards.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he's like, that's his like. I mean, here's the thing with Ryan, like, and he said it on both my podcasts that I had him on. He does not stress to fucking worry about feeding the Neo after it sheds. He'll wait like a month or two, like literally wait before he offers it anything.
Kind of going that route as well, yeah.
Yeah, and then basically what he'll do is like, if it don't make it, don't make it. You don't believe in assist feeding. Like he's basically says, why would you even want that animal to be in? We're basically forcing an animal to be strong enough for this world when it's not. And it's like, he kind of plays the realistic numbers game because you got to think about in the wild, if a clutch of chondro eggs do all come out, they're not all going to survive. Like, are you kidding me? Like, some of them are going to be fucked up. You know what I mean? But
sure, yeah.
But there are like people who are figuring things out to where you could get most of a clutch to survive, and if not all of it and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like, let me ask you this: if you have a clutch of Neos that you're looking at, regardless the way it looks, do you consider selling the ones that aren't as strong as eaters as other ones? Like, if you have one that's just a really bad eater, I mean, it's eating and it's growing, but like, in your mind, are you like, I don't want to keep that snake, or like, what are you thinking when you have a poor eater like that?
I'm in a stage right now where I'm trying to kind of figure out how exactly I feel about it, because I definitely see the logic behind, if it's not willing to feed, it's not going to survive, it's not going to thrive, right? That makes a lot of sense, and I can completely understand going that route, and especially depending on how many things you've got going, it might not make sense to sit here and bang your head against the wall with one baby for months, because it can be super stressful. It takes forever. You know what I mean? I still didn't really know how much time it could consume until you're doing it, and then you're like, wow. There's definitely moments where you're like, this is probably a mental disorder to be willing to do this. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would anybody in their right mind be willing to do it? But I just really, I want to see him do well, and so I just feel like I feel like it's the way I'm thinking now. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's I may end up changing my perspective about it. But my thinking on it now is more so that, like, what I'm trying to do with these little snakes is not at all really what they would be doing in the wild. I'm trying to get them to feed on these nasty little frozen thawed pinky mice because that's what's convenient for me.
Right.
That's what's easy to get a hold of. It's not really what they want. It's not really what they're programmed to feed. Now, again, this is just me hypothesizing. I might be wrong about it. Maybe somebody will be like, you're full of shit. But it just seems like some individuals adapt. They're just naturally kind of like, it's almost like they're just naturally more adaptable. I don't know if it's more intelligence or whatever, but they just seem to get it. They understand, like, oh, that thing's moving, it's warm, I'm grabbing it and I'm eating it, I'm not going to worry about what it is. Those are probably the ones I would imagine that really thrive and kick ass in the wild.
Right.
And then the babies that don't really do that, it almost just seems like their minds are really rigid and they're pre-programmed to respond to a very limited number of stimuli. I don't know, but they just don't seem to be very flexible or adaptable. But having started some of those ones like that I would have, with the first clutch, I had two in particular that were holdouts that were getting to that point where I was like, all right, I can see the writings on the wall. If they don't get food in them, if they don't get with the program soon, they're goners. They're not going to make it. You know what I mean? I think they were like 4 months or 5 months assist feeding, and they were just not doing well. And but the restrained tease feeding thing got them going. They started, it took time. It still took a lot of time, but I got them to where I was like, I'm getting a meal in the snake every single time I try, and I'm not stopping until it eats the meal. And with enough persistence, I'm finding that it will eventually get pissed off enough. It'll strike. It'll eat on its own. It can be real time consuming and real frustrating, but it will eventually take it. And that's what I've done with all of them going forward. And those snakes turn around. Once they turn around, they eat every bit as aggressive as the ones that started great. So I just don't know what my kind of, now it's like I said, it's a little strange, because I would think if this snake was destined to not make it, nothing would really work. And I'm just wondering, what is it that once it kind of, the light bulb goes on, the light bulb turns on and they get with the program, and then they're slamming meals every single time. What's making that specific one take that long? I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I'm hopefully one day we'll understand it better. And that's what I'm kind of trying. That's what's interesting to me, is trying to figure that kind of stuff out with them.
I know a saying that was told to me as a kid, and to this day, I'll live with that saying. You want to know what that saying is, Chris? Only the strong survive, bro. Only the strong will survive. What are you going to do? But let me ask you this, okay? The restraint technique that you do with the chondros, are you implementing that with your emerald neos as well?
I just started trying that a little bit today. So, the emerald litter has been, of course, different. It's not the same as the chondros, and so they, back up a little bit. So they were born in December, and all of them took a lot longer than expected to shed, which was stressing me out big time until I talked to Ed about it. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna chill out on this. But you expect them to shed in 2 weeks, roughly something like this. And, but I think the first one took about a month, and then they shed kind of separately, and they all shed out now. But they, once they all finally shed, I tried feeding them, and it was funny the way it went down. So I tried the first, my favorite pick of the litter, biggest one, best looking one. It's that snake I lucked out with. That snake's just like a perfect little, badass. It basically, everything, it's just done right from the get-go. That snake fooled me into thinking that they were going to be super, super easy walk in the park, because that snake took a frozen thawed mouse with very little teasing in like 2 minutes or less. Frozen thawed, unscented hopper mouse. And it just grabbed it, constricted it, and ate it like a little monster. I was in shock. I'm like, it made me second guess myself. This is really this thing's first meal? Like, it's eating like a beast. So then I was laughing with Ed, talking to him about this the other day. I was like, yeah, and I, of course, expected the rest of them would be like that. Boom, boom, boom. Not one of them ate after that. Not one of them ate. So I'm still working to getting them established and taking meals. So I'm getting them. I just started with one of them today, trying to do a little bit of the restrained tease feeding just to see how they respond to it. And it's same thing. The wouldn't strike. It was a runner, and then you lightly restrain them a bit. Again, you got to just be careful with it. Lightly restrain it, and they get frustrated enough after a little while that you'll at least I'm getting strikes out of them. And so that's moving in the right direction. And so the strikes, got more, more accurate and more confident over, some time with that. But unfortunately, just grabbing and dropping it, not wrapping it up yet. So I'm still trying to get the rest of them solid. But I can tell, at least my expectation is they're going to definitely be easier in the long term than the chondros. Because they're bigger, they're just hardier animals, it seems like. I mean, I was shocked how much bigger they really are, especially the biggest one of the litters. Like,
well, let me ask you this, Chris.
Like a chondro breakfast. But
let me ask you this: which one's been easier to breed so far?
I would. I don't know if I have enough experience to say that for sure. Really,
so far,
probably chondros. I would say.
Respect, and that's probably because you've had more success results-wise. Like you've seen more action from chondros versus
yeah. I mean, it's. I've had luck, like so this last week I've had good luck. I posted a couple of things about it. I'm only doing a few pairings at the moment, but I lucked out and that the weather over the last week or so has really seemed to kick everything into high gear. I wasn't seeing much activity from things up until recently, but right now it's like it's been a great week as far as that goes. I had I've got the same male Larry that sired the Northern litter last year. Been going crazy with an anaconda phase female, and then I've got a Biak male that has now locked with two other Biak females. I was trying to do a repeat pairing of my Aru male and my female Biak Lucy that I've had for a long time. I was hoping to do a repeat pairing with them, but the male Aru's like he's just, I don't know, man. He's off his pimp game for sure. He's not doing anything right as far as that. Everything's good with him. He's eating fine. He's just, I almost wonder if he's maybe, I got to kind of go back through my records and check and see if he's like intimidated because the younger, more dominant males in the room now or something. I don't know.
Right.
But he was like an aggressive breeder that first year with them, with the Biak, and then he's not really been doing much. And, but yeah, I think getting them, as plenty of other people have said, getting them to breed is one thing. Getting hatched babies is another with the chondros, and then getting live neonates from the emeralds is obviously another thing too there. So yeah, but anyway, I'm probably rambling a little too much. But I think the chondros seem to be a little bit easier to me.
How many times? Okay, first off, when your females lay, do you give them a year off? Do you not breed them that next year, or how are you cycling that?
I'm still playing around with that a little bit. Ideally, eventually, I would like to give them a year off, for each time. And I did do that with the one Biak. She had a year off. Although I did try her last year, I didn't really push it. I'm just like, because she bounced back really well. She had good weight. She looked like everything was going in the right direction. So I'm like, I think she'd be fine. So I tried, but the male Aru didn't go for it, and that's all I tried. And so I think it was just him. She may have just gone last year too. I don't know.
Have you had any female chondro wise just not go for you? Like they laid, but then like just haven't laid since then, or just
No. I haven't had enough time for that to be happening. So. I did have, I guess the we'll see is the answer this year, because that Biak female, so she had a clutch in 2020. I tried her again briefly. I didn't push it very hard. I just tried pairing her a couple of times up with the male Aru, and nothing happened. But I don't think that was her. I think that was the male.
The male, right? Because
the same thing was just happening this year. I had put that male Aru in with her off and on since like middle of December, I believe. I hadn't really seen anything at all happening, and I was kind of thinking it was maybe her. But then I especially after I talked to Ed on the phone the other day. We were talking about emeralds, but just same kind of thing as far as like not having, it's never a bad thing to have enough males, to have more males. And so I decided, I was like, well, let me take this male Aru out and put the Biak male in and see how that goes.
Right.
Biak male was locked up with her, 2 hours, 3 hours later, something like that, and they locked up for like 10 or 12 hours straight. So it's like, it was clearly not the female. It was clearly not the female in this case. Now, whether I don't know if she's too far along. I don't have an ultrasound or anything like that, so I'm just doing everything by observation. Can't tell for sure if she's too far along, or how it'll work out, but I feel pretty good about it based on their behavior. You know what I mean?
So I have I understand this kid's excitement. He's a teenager. He's a little pissed off and excited. He wants to hear it. And I was waiting. Don't worry, bro. Like I was saving this, Jake. Okay, Jake, deep breaths. Trust me. We all know. We want to talk about the emeralds. And
if I'm rambling about too much other shit, just
no, you're fine. You're good. Trust me. We're killing this podcast. We're doing a good job. But I want to go ahead and transition now because I'm trying to upload this fucking pic, and of course I'm having issues right now. But I was kind of scoping through your Facebook stuff, just kind of seeing like all your old stuff that you've posted in the groups and whatnot. Because what's cool about the Facebook groups, you can just search somebody's name and you'll see everything that they post in that group. So that's what I did with you. And God, I can't pull it up. But here, maybe I can right now. But there's one individual that you had, and this was somebody that Forrest used to talk about all the time. And that's the late Rico Wilder, man. Rico Wilder was somebody who, I mean, like, even if you never met Rico, the way people talk about Rico, when we're talking about Rico. Like, he is a one-of-a-kind individual, almost like a Forrest Fanning, but like on a more legend level, and just because what he used to present at shows is not presented. What this guy used to do at shows is not happening anymore. But, he used to work with both, chondros and emeralds. And so since we're transitioning right now from the chondro talk to emerald talk, and you have pictures of Rico and whatnot, was he a big influence for you to work with emeralds, or what was the influence for you to work with chondro and emeralds? I'm real curious.
Well, so emeralds specifically, I guess, let's see. So the oldest inspiration was just seeing, like, obviously back in the day, as a kid, there was that Living Snakes of the World book with a gorgeous northern emerald face on it. And then the old Reptiles magazines, you'd have articles and pictures of the Amazon basins and stuff like that. So those have always been like a dream species, the northerns and the Amazon basins. And so I've always loved those, always loved chondros. Some of the earliest inspirations, Eugene Bissett, we actually got to take a trip to Eugene's facility in '95. Which was mind-blowing. Like, crazy to see that.
Where's he at? He's in Maryland, or where's he at again? I forget.
No, he's in Archer, Florida. Or he was. I think he's still in Archer, Florida, Gainesville or whatever. And so we got, we had chatted with Eugene at it was like the 94 and 95 expos. The early Orlando show and then the Daytona show. When I think it transitioned in 95 or 96, I can't remember exactly which year, and he invited us up there. So we went there and he had emeralds and chondros, and it was, imagine seeing that back at that point, being 14, 15, 16 years old, whatever we were, it was absolutely insane. So guys like Eugene, and then in the modern time, Rico is definitely, as I'm researching everything and looking at stuff, seeing all of Rico's stuff, the emeralds and the chondro has been a huge, huge influence, along with obviously Ed. Ryan Wilson, huge influence there. Alan.
Dr. Ryan Wilson.
Yeah,
Alan.
Man, Socrates. I mean, there's so many. I'm sure I'm forgetting them, but
it's growing.
Yeah, the list just keeps growing. There's so many. Warren Booth is obviously like
Warren Booth. What the fuck? Shout out to the homie Warren Booth. God damn.
Oh yeah,
that's my
dude,
boy.
And I mean, seeing all these guys, the guys that have been on your podcast, and seeing and listening to that's been an enormous influence. So
I hope you guys are ready for the Warren Booth episode. That's gonna be a wild one, just so you know. Like, because trust me,
looking forward to that.
That's gonna be in person, and we're gonna be drinking. So that's gonna go for a long. That's gonna go for a long time. Okay, just so you know. But anyways, okay. So back to the emeralds. Let's kind of talk about the transition from, obviously, things move fast. Chris, you already know. So you're like, let me get this one chondro. Okay, let me get this import. And then how many chondros did you have before you got an emerald? And where did you get that emerald from? Let's talk about the start of all that.
Let me see. I still have a relatively small collection. So I only have maybe, 4 chondros, something like that. I don't actually have that many adults. I got a lot of holdback babies at the moment, but I only had 4 or 5 chondros, I think.
At that time?
It was 2018, but it was just 2019. I have to look at when it was when I got the first one. I think
this might be able to help you. Let's see.
First, 2019.
First off, guys, if you could please do me a favor and go follow my man Chris Rice right here, Snake Spirit on Instagram. Okay, because we're gonna dip through some of his stuff. I've already had this like queued up, ready to go, Chris. So let's look at this real quick because I literally have your first post on Instagram up, and it's not a chondro, it's a fucking emerald. So I'm curious here. So let's look at this real quick. This is this is so gorgeous, bro. Whew, heat. So here we go. This is February 2020.
Yeah,
oh my God.
That's my Amara, which unfortunately she passed away last year from liver cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
Yeah. That's why when I was going through some old stuff, I posted something on Instagram today. Old video clip I found of her looking through my videos. Running the.
I think I have that queued up
on her outside. Yeah. That snake, obviously, you could see how gorgeous that snake was. So that wasn't my first one. She was actually the third one.
This one right here, right?
Yeah, that's her. I've still, to this day, I don't know exactly how old she is, but based on the guy that I got her from, the original keeper, I won't go into the whole story about it, but basically the original keeper had said he had her for 15 years and that she was already an adult when he got her. She was an import, and he had got her from just a random pet store.
So she could have been like 20, 30 years old. There's no.
She was. I've seen plenty of old snakes. She had that look to her. Her scales had that look to her, and so I when I got her, when I first saw her, I was like, I don't know, what is this? Is this a northern? Is this a basin cross? I didn't know what she was. I was like, she's incredible, and I still wasn't sure. I asked a couple people when I picked her up. I was like, does this look like a cross? Because I've never really seen. I know some of the older northerns get real dark and look, and I've seen some that look kind of like that. But personally, I've just never seen another that looked like her.
Dude, do you want to know the only place where I've seen green like that on an emerald is on a mature old ass emerald, bro? Like because I've been to Marshall Mendez's house. I've seen the emeralds, the Miss Willie lines, and the big ass northerns that Steven has at Steven and Desiree have at Reptech, and that distinct green that you see, that lime light but dark green, dude, those are on old emeralds. Like I'm talking about mature, like that just like an age, like that just shows.
I've come to understand that more because it's definitely an age thing is a big part of it. So she was amazing. I was really, really hoping she would live longer, obviously, and
at least you got a little bit of time with her, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was an honor to be able to keep that snake in its last few years. You know what I mean? She was old, and the guy told me, when I got her, he's like, he's like, I can't make any promises how, I don't know how old she is. He's like, I've had her for 15 years. She was an adult when I got her. And she was actually kept outdoors on a porch in a big, tall, it was a pretty cool it was a wooden cage, but it was a big, tall cage that the guy had built, and he kept never sprayed, never anything like.
Wow.
I mean, kept.
Did it get rained on at all?
You would think it's like you would think like, oh, it was kept wrong, but she lived a long life. I think one of the things that this guy did right, because he was a really nice guy, but he wasn't really like, he just had a couple of snakes that he was not at all like into the reptile community. He just had a few snakes as pets and liked them. And
right.
But he did the real sparing feeding thing. He said he fed her. He was actually feeding her either a large rat or occasionally a squirrel.
A squirrel?
Mm-hmm. I think it was he fed roadkill squirrel, which is crazy.
Oh my God!
Crazy. I would never do that, but I mean, it was like shit. But he would feed her, like, I think he said he would usually feed her a large rat once every 6 to 8 weeks, something like that.
Wow.
And well, I mean, she was still in good body condition, but slender. But that seems to be, and that's something I'm moving more and more towards. Not going that long with them, really, but definitely like a change in pace from back in the day when I was keeping, when it was like, everything needs to be pumped up with food every week, and you're feeding the crap out of everything.
So
I'm always moving more and more toward feeding them less, basically.
So let me ask you this, Chris. When you picked up that 15 plus year old emerald from that guy, then what was the next move? Like what was your next emerald purchase after that?
Well, like I said, she wasn't the first one. The one you're looking at right there was actually the first one. So
Okay.
that's Artemis.
Okay.
That's the one who gave me the litter.
Nice.
So yeah, I got her. I think I got her. I'd have to look at my records. I think I got her. It was either beginning of 2019. I want to say. I think I've had her just about coming up on right about 3 years now. I don't think it was 2018.
Okay.
So I already, like I said, I had a few chondros at that point, and then I got her. I wanted specifically the challenge of trying to establish some imports and breed them. So that's been the goal from day one, the challenge of it, and just the fact it was a combination of I wanted to see if I could do it. It needs to be done, in my opinion. There needs to be some work put into that to get these snakes to a point where there really is captive bred ones available,
Right.
to really, to get anywhere near like what's been done with somebody like Ed with the basins and make them, because Northerns, there's not very many people working with them. I think there's less probably than with the basins or something. I've heard that anyways. I don't know for sure, but that was my goal with that, was see if I could establish them and get them to breed. And so I did. I got that far so far with them.
I wonder why. I wonder why the Northerns aren't, as established as the basins right now. I wonder fucking why.
And that's part of why I'm trying to, do what little bit I can, hopefully. I don't know if I'll achieve it, but I would just like to be able to contribute, hopefully, some long-lasting animals into that eventually will produce some more.
So
futures down the road, have more captive bred babies available.
So at what point, Chris, were you able to pair up your emeralds after you got the pair that you needed? Like, I mean, let's kind of talk about the experience with you actually pairing up the emeralds and whatnot.
So the litter that I've got going now, I paired them in November. Yeah, it must have been November. I think it was middle of November 2020, and they didn't do anything. Nothing for months. It was the end of January where they finally kicked in. It was it was interesting because it was about exactly a year ago from the same males kicking in, killing it now. It was about exactly a year ago, and then it ramped up from there. So I didn't really think it was going to happen until he started ramping up at the end of January, early February 2021, and then they were off to the races there, and thankfully I lucked out and got a litter going from there.
Okay. And then, so I don't know, I've heard so many different kind of stories with people pairing up emeralds, like, did you have an aggressive male or like any kind of combating or anything like that when pairing up your emeralds? I
was lucky. No, this male is like, Larry is the male. He's super chill, and even so far, anyways, I know that can change, especially, Ed had said stuff about that. Like, you got to always watch the males during breeding season because they can flip on you. I've been lucky. He's been real chill. He's been cool, and neither of the pairings that I've done there was any aggression. I have had I had an accident with the chondro pairing, the Aru and Biak pairing, where I had the male actually grabbed the female and wrapped her up, like trying to kill her, like thinking it was food. We'll talk about that later if you want.
I've done that.
The emeralds,
terrible.
So far, nothing there, which is good because it would definitely be freaky to deal with that, because their teeth are just, it's pretty nuts.
It's not fun to see, bro. I mean, we could get into it now. I mean, like I found, back when I was talking about I was getting imports, I got really good at, sexing ball pythons, but, obviously you don't want to pop a chondro too small, right? Or you don't want to pop a chondro period, to be honest. So I was just going off the person I was buying it from. I was going off his word. I was like, all right, this is a female, this is a male. Okay, cool. It's a lot harder kind of to tell, especially if you're feeding one good, it's hard to tell the sex really with a chondro, as a, for the most part. So anyways, yeah, I had these two really nice BX, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to put these together. And, I did notice like distance, and I noticed that they never really want to be by each other, but I was told, hey, just leave them in there for at least a week. You never know, like that kind of happens at first type of thing. So I was like, all right, just leave them go. You know, let them do their thing. And I remember putting a towel over their bin. And feeding day came, and I was like, all right, time to feed. And then next you know, I hear like literally, have you ever put shoes inside a dryer? You ever hear that? You ever hear the rumbling?
Yeah.
You know I'm talking about the rumbling. And I was like, I stopped what I was doing, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And at first, it sounded like a rat was like losing its mind in a bin, but I was like, I didn't put no live rat in a bin. Like, I don't feed my chondros live. So I was tripping out. And so I took the towel out, and my bigger fucking female had the other one, what I thought was a male, completely wrapped. And dude, they were fighting, and I didn't know what to do, man. I was freaking out. And I was like, almost just gonna let it right. I was gonna just let it right out. I for like literally 30 seconds, I'm just like literally screaming, like, what the fuck? And I was like, I can't let this snake die. So I literally went in there and I fucking just ripped them. Like it was hard, bro. But I grabbed the bigger one by the head and was able to find it. And I literally, with all my might, had to unwrap her. Teeth were fucking flying out, bro. It was terrible. That was probably one of the worst days.
You had to do, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I saved them. They're both here, man. And you know, but what turned out was the male was a female. You know what I mean? But I think even if it was a male, because of the food response, I think it was all based off the food. To be honest,
it was. Yeah, I've got a similar story, not quite as extreme with doing. Well, no. I'm just saying it's. I mean, I could have easily been there. I just lucked out. I wasn't quite as extreme with that, but it was. I think it was a mistaken food response as well. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Unless you want to, I didn't know if we want to.
Yeah, no, let's get into it. No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. But
yeah, real quick, what happened with that was basically I had, again, it was the roux male, who's he's not really. I wouldn't say he's aggressive. He's actually pretty mellow most of the time, but he's an interesting snake. He's one of the most, but he's got to be the most inactive chondro I have. Right. Even compared to the females, but he's got a crazy food response. Like he
spazzes out.
He's one of those snakes that's just like, dude, you don't need to do that to the frozen mountain rat. You know what I mean?
Has he ever busted the guts out of it and shit?
No, but I know what you mean. I've seen that with emeralds.
Disgusting.
Yeah, but he's got a real aggressive feed response, and so the cage that the females in is an old school Neodesha cube. And I'm probably saying Neodesha wrong. I think it's Neodesha, but I grew up.
Where'd you even get that from? That I would fucking buy for this.
Brittany from Ivory Exotics, actually.
I would feed for this. What does this even cost?
Not that. Those are my favorite enclosures ever.
Yeah, I would. Ed has a bunch of these. I'm obsessed with.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. I don't know exactly who made them. I think there was one or two people that made them back in the day, but that's like the same. I'm pretty sure it's made by the same person that made the ones that Ed ended up buying and everything. So I bought those used off a dude that used to breed emeralds and chondros. Yeah, lucky. And I saw the ad for them, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's those cages!" So I was like, I called the guy. I'm like, "Please, please let me buy them." Like,
what'd you pay for? I'm just curious.
Not much. I think I paid like $50 each.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, something like that. 50 or 75 each, something like that.
Dude, what a fucking price. I would fiend for those. Those are great.
Dude, for me, those for arboreals, I want to eventually have every single adult arboreal in a setup that has the slide out drawer.
I mean, they can't be that expensive to make. Like, you got to think.
I think it's an issue with I think it's got to be an issue with shipping them is one thing, and I've heard that before spoken, because those are acrylic, so it's an issue of shipping them and them breaking. And then I'm wondering, because to me, like, I'm thinking in this day and age, like nobody's really doing arboreal cages with a pull-out drawer anymore. And I don't understand why, because I didn't realize how convenient it was and how nice it was until I had one, and I'm like, I want every single one of the adults in something like this eventually.
Whoa.
Whether it has to be just because it doesn't, I mean, obviously they'll do fine without it. It's more a convenience for me. It's really dope to be able to not disturb them.
No, that's the best thing I've ever heard of. A pull-out drawer. Like, are you kidding me? You don't have to worry about anything.
No, I mean, if they're locked up, I don't want to mess with them. Just
I'm just saying, like,
especially after hearing it was the interview with, was it James Opdahl had the snake that
Oh,
the pear,
took
like
off,
the
ripped his
chondros,
dick
ripped
out.
the hemipenes off the other
Yeah.
one. Now I'm like paranoid about that. I'm like, if I see a, you know, if they're locked or something, I'm just like, man, I got to keep my distance. I don't want them getting their dick
Right.
ripped off. But
But exactly, like, but even having to keep from reaching your hand inside, like literally, like just pulling it out, like that sounds like so ideal. I mean, if it's one thing,
it really is. That's what I'm saying. I've got to figure out.
Oh, man.
Before I had those cages, I don't think I ever posted anything about it. I had rigged up some tubs to function that same kind of way. So I'd rigged up tubs so where I had like they were like 3-foot tubs, but I think it was like 3 foot by 18 inches or something, and I rigged them up so one was upside down. I'll find a picture of it and send it to you at some point. But I rigged that up so that it had a pull-out drawer, and I started loving it just from doing that because I had seen those old cages with the pull-out drawer. I was like, that makes sense. That's dope. And but then when I got the real ones, having it properly slide in and fit and not be janky and stuff was nice. So yeah, that's something. I don't know if I end up having to get them custom made or something, but I'm surprised no arboreal, cages are made like this. I can only think there's maybe some manufacturing issue with it or something inconvenient about doing it that I'm just not thinking of or something. But
I'm gonna talk to my sponsor tomorrow, Focus Cube Habitat, and I'm gonna run this.
That would be dope because
I'm running this idea by him.
Yeah, and I mean I know that Ed used those back in the day. He still got them all. Like those are, I think Freedom Breeder. I know they did. I saw way back. It was I've only seen the pictures of them once or twice, but I think Freedom Breeder used to make some kind of arboreal cage that had a pull-out drawer. They don't anymore, but yeah, like and something by Focus Cube would be incredible because those cages are, those are amazing.
So I noticed, Chris, that you take a lot of your snakes outside and whatnot. It looks like you supplement a lot of natural daylight for them. I mean, can we kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I don't I didn't get to do it this past year as much as I would have liked to because the neighbors are different. It's pretty much like we didn't for a little while. There was no neighbor on the one side for like a year, and it was so nice because it was just like I don't have to deal with
privacy.
Neighbor bullshit. Yeah, just having the privacy of that. So now I didn't get to go out as much as I would have liked, but yeah, I normally try to get them out as much as I can, get them out moving around a little bit, get them doing some like that, get them doing some vertical climbing because that's something that you really can't give them that in almost any indoor closure that you're going to get. There's no way they're really going to be able to do any kind of
stretching like that,
serious vertical climbing in particular.
Yeah, dude, that's all. Like, dude, they're using muscles that they can't use like that in a cage. So that makes sense.
Exactly. So I try to do that as much as I can. Like I said, I wish I would have got to do it more over the past year, but I always get them out a little bit here and there. And then I figured some natural sunlight. It's kind of just a win-win. It's for me, it's really enjoyable to take them out and just admire them like that.
Right.
I'm lazy with taking the pictures and videos. It's the easiest lighting setup that you can do because I don't have to do anything. It's just like go out at the right time of day and it just kind of works as far as I don't have to set up any kind of lighting or anything like that.
I'm not gonna lie, Chris. You want to know what kind of ruins the moment when you have something like this outside? When you know you have to take a pic. Because you're like, fuck, you either have to go grab your phone or you have to go do something. You know what I mean?
Well, what I tried to do, and again, I don't always get to do it. I try to just I figured because I've been better lately about posting, but I'm usually kind of inconsistent with it.
Right.
Like I'll post. I can never be. I don't think I'll ever be somebody that can post every single day. I just never can get around to doing it. But like I usually go in flurries of it, so I'll take I'll get a chance to go out and take them out and get some decent pics and videos, and then I'll post stuff for a few days in a row, and then I might not post it for a few days or a few weeks even. But I try to kind of plan to just do it as a photo opportunity. But you're right, though. It does kind of sometimes ruin it because I've had plenty of times where it's like, I think to myself, I'm like, man, I just ruined a nice moment enjoying the snakes. Like I was just trying to just let them do their thing and just having a cool, enjoyable time, admiring
then-
these incredible animals, and then I get stressed out because I can't get a good picture of something. And it's like,
But then damn if you don't either. You know what I mean? So it's like because then you're like, fuck, this is a really good shot. You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Either way,
life is rough, right?
life, it's not always fucking easy. You know what I mean? And especially with chondros. But so okay, let's talk a little bit more as far as like your whole like goal with the production side of the emeralds and chondros. Like, I mean, because you do have a 9 to 5, right? Like, it's not like you do this for a living, right?
No, I don't do it for a living. So, so I'm trying to kind of rethink what I wanted to do, because last year, even though I had some great things happen last year with the snakes, I mean, I had, successfully maternally incubated a chondro clutch, which was a goal I always had, and
Dude,
then
hard.
had a litter of emeralds. So I was like, that's
It's
awesome.
huge.
Last year was also like, from a personal aspect, I had a lot of loss last year. So I don't want to get into everything, but so
Right. So,
basically just, I'm just kind of getting my mind back in the right headspace at the, after a few months of really some hard times. And so I'm at the point now where I'm trying to make plans of what do I want to do going forward do I want to focus more on emeralds? Do I want to focus more on chondros? Of course, I'm always trying to think, well, why not both? And why not? Why can't I just have every single locality of chondro? And why can't I have every variety of emeralds? But yeah, and then a million other species I would love to keep too. But I'm in the process of trying to figure that out. The northern emeralds are definitely something I'm focusing on hardcore right now, because I feel like that's a species that
it's important.
Yeah, I feel like I could. It's important work that needs to be done, and if I can contribute.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, look how many savages there are in the chondro game, and there's not enough in the emerald game whatsoever. So it's like, especially the northern. We're talking northerns here.
Yeah.
And
they're really, like, northerns are
gorgeous. I love northerns, bro. I mean, I have northerns. I would love a basin, and that's on the list. But man, I appreciate my northerns. I'm obsessed with my northerns, bro.
I honestly, that might change. Oh, it might change once I get some basins, and then I'll be like, oh,
well, I mean, dude,
I doubt it. I think it's. I mean, they're no doubt. I can see the appeal of doing nothing but basins because of how amazing they are. Because it's the challenge, I think, of doing this period when you really love a lot of different species, is like you gotta kind of, at some point, you gotta limit yourself as far as what you can handle in terms of how many. And I don't know. There's a lot of other cool species I want to keep too, and I get tempted to go down that road. I might eventually do that, but right now I'm trying to stay focused on the emeralds kind of primarily, but the chondros too. The challenge, of course, is really the challenge is like, well, what are the ones I want to focus on the most? What are my favorites right now that I really want to put forth effort into? And so with the northern emeralds, I definitely plan to go forward producing. I'd love to get to a point where I could produce a litter or two of emeralds every single year. That would be amazing. Whether I can do it or not, I don't know. But I figured that would be it seems like a plausible goal to me. Maybe it could go more than that. Maybe I can get to the point where I'm doing 3 or 4 of them. I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely am going for that route, and eventually have some basins as well. Chondros is tricky because it's like
unpredictable. Like, I mean, this all is, but it's just like you never know. Like it's just like that's what I'm saying, bro.
I got pairings going on right now that I'm excited about. It doesn't mean anything's gonna happen.
Don't mean shit. That's what I'm saying. I tip my hat.
I might be tucking my tail between my legs and feeling foolish in a few months, and by the summer when nothing's happening. But I feel good about it at the moment. I think I've got a decent enough of a grasp that hopefully I'll get something. One of the pairings at least will go. But the thing with the chondros is really just trying to figure out, like, how much time do I want to spend on establishing babies?
Oh my!
Which is, I'm sure everybody feels the same way with that.
Dude,
because you got to really figure. I think I remember seeing. I think it was Pedro saying something like that. Like I think Pedro will only do 2 clutches a year. Maybe I'm thinking
Yeah.
somebody else. It was on your.
It was Pedro.
Right?
Pedro says he's not. Pedro says
Not
anyone
too
who
more than that.
Pedro says anything 4 or more is insane. He says it doesn't make any sense.
I would, yeah. Right now, I would say, yeah. Unless you're doing it like.
Unless you're Socrates.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't. Yeah, Socrates.
He's a machine, bro. He's a machine. I'm telling you.
I don't know him well, but does he actually
doesn't sleep.
He doesn't
He
sleep.
barely and if
He's like,
if
he just takes like a power nap for 20 minutes and it goes right back to killing the next thing.
Sock has this thing and it doesn't piss him off, but he like will quickly check me if I say it. But he'll call me. I go, "What up, bro? You just chilling?" He goes, "Bro, I'm never chilling. I don't have time to chill." I'm like, "All right, cool, kick it, whatever. What's good?" He's like, "I'm on my way to work." But yeah, the guy like will literally, he runs a business, fucking just, he's a father of 2, grinds, great husband.
You can tell that dude's.
He makes the snakes a priority. Like he makes the chondros a priority. Like as much as he's tired and wants to go to sleep, he won't sleep and will be up all night fucking, feeding, getting all these chondros to become established. Like he sacrifices all that. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
That's why he does it.
I get it. And that's what
Hard.
I've done with him. Like that's what I said, like when my outlook on him, not that I'm on his level, I'm not trying to say that, but I mean, as far as establishing the baby chondros, like it might change over time, but my mentality with him right now is like, I won't accept a baby not eating.
Right.
It's gonna eat one way or another, and until,
at some point.
And if I have to work with it for a year to get it there, then I've got to do it. But that's my goal anyways, to not accept losing one from starvation. And so far I haven't. Now the ones that are born, there's ones that are, and I had an emerald, one stillborn emerald and one that was born with an umbilical problem, that something like that's different, where they have internal issues that you are kind of, right from the get-go, you can tell something's up. It's just snake's not right. That's a different story to me. That's a snake that you would never be able to get it to turn around. But if the snake doesn't have obvious internal problems, it does seem to have the potential to thrive. I don't want to give up on it. I want to make sure that I get it to feed and then eventually get it. I'm not happy until it's like slamming food with enthusiasm.
Well, because that should be your goal. I mean, we have snakes that slam food, and it's a fucking joy. I love seeing my snakes eat. You know what I mean? And it's probably why
it feels great to see them. You're taking care of these animals. You want to see them do really well.
Yep. Exactly.
That's really the thrill of it. Ultimately, is like it's like you just want to, and that's why sometimes some people get tempted to overfeed stuff too, because it's like I get it. And back in the day, we used to overfeed, but
right.
But just getting them to thrive as best as you can, and try to keep learning from it, and especially with the chondros, because they're challenging like this, it's a great feeling when that one major pain in the ass snake that you're just like, oh my god, this thing's never gonna take, finally turns around, and then it's like, you're over that hump with it, you're over that
the hurdle.
Yeah.
Which is a big fucking hurdle. Let me just say that.
Sometimes
it's like
yeah.
But it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the 2 clutch a year thing is it's just kind of, I think, it all depends on how much free time you have and how you want to devote it. For me, like I said, it's kind of a challenge. If I was focusing almost exclusively or exclusively on chondros, I would try to aim for more than 2 clutches a year.
And 2 litters. So 2 chondro clutches, 2 litters is kind of what your goal is right now.
I would say, somewhere in that area. Yeah, somewhere. That's like, I mean, that I don't, like I said, I don't know if I'll achieve it every year for sure, but that would be, I'd be quite happy to do 2 or, anywhere from 1 to 3 litters of each species per year for now, and then just see where it goes. I didn't really plan to do even that much, when I got back into it, so I'm already doing more than I would have expected to do with them. So I don't really want to completely limit myself with them, but I also don't want to get silly silly expectations for myself that I can't live up to. But the chondro stuff is the most challenging for sticking with all that. How many you can do.
So, Chris, you got to understand, and you probably do understand this, but you work with two of the most popular, sought after, when it comes to something not ball python, the emerald and the green tree python are the most fascinated projects as far as for new keepers. Okay. So let me ask you this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to put you in a position and everything's in your favor, let's say two litters a year, 2 chondro clutches a year, and you have some production to sell, how are you going to sell those snakes? And to the new keeper out there, like, what's your suggestion for somebody to get in a good position to get one of your productions, or how would that work?
Well, the funny thing is first I've got to not hold it back first. That's the first thing that's got to happen.
Facts.
But yeah, I think that, like, obviously talking with people is just making friends, which I'm not. I'm admittedly really bad. I can be pretty antisocial with stuff, and I'm trying to get a little bit out of that tendency. Part of that's why I was stoked to get invited on here, because like I said, I tend to kind of stay more in the shadows with that stuff. I'll post pictures and videos of the snakes and stuff, but I just generally kind of keep myself out of it. But doing that, contacting people, and just making contacts with people, and not hassling people, because I get people that already hassle me, which is, I don't even have anything that's available right now. And but I get people that sometimes hassle you a bit, which is, I'm sure, off-putting for almost anybody. If you're being obnoxious, it's not great. But just trying to kind of keep an eye on stuff. And I think probably a lot of times, I don't know how everybody is with waiting lists. I guess maybe I have like a little bit of a loose waiting list in my head, but it doesn't make sense to be doing a waiting list for me right now.
Well, it's like you're getting ahead of yourself, and these aren't the projects to do that. Like, these aren't ball. I mean, not even ball python people do that to be respectful. They don't put, like, there's not really a wait list unless there's something to wait for. There's nothing to wait for, and I don't know. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like until I have something that I, if I get to the point, if it goes that far to where I'm killing it with stuff, and I've got, I feel like, I'm, probably going to have at least a few things here, and maybe I'll change my mind on wait lists a little bit, but I kind of doubt it, because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, and it takes so long to establish these things that what I've been telling some people that have contacted me is just respectfully being like, right now, I just, the best thing is just follow what I'm doing, because I'll post about stuff as it progresses.
Right.
And then, because anything that's going to be with these, I want to make sure that anything that gets sold is solid,
right. Not going to come back.
No, I mean, you never know. You might have some problems at some point if you do enough stuff, but
right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Can't avoid that.
Yeah, you can't avoid some odd cases here and there, but I want to make sure that the dudes that inspired me back in the day were guys like Eugene. You know what I mean? Going to that facility, that, like, that blows your mind seeing that. It was like, especially going from seeing mostly local stuff that was like kind of, even if they were good people with good intentions, it's like their husbandry and the way they kept them was nowhere near the kind of level of what Eugene was doing at that time. Like, Eugene introduced us to the idea of like keeping records and proper hygiene and all this, everything really, and really learning from the snakes themselves and stuff. And Eugene was always the gold standard back in the day to me, as far as like, don't sell stuff that I don't even, he always had a bunch of funny sayings. I always feel like he had a funny saying about that. I felt like, about quality, or no, it was something about like, I don't know if it was more involved, I think, than quality over quantity. But anyways, I'm rambling a bit about it. Just the point being, I'd want to make sure that everything's really, really rock solid and ready to go before it would be sold. So for people looking for them, whether it be for me or anybody else in the future, just be respectful and be patient, because that's a big part of it, I think.
What about as far as, if you ever get to the point where you have enough to display at a show, you ever plan on doing a show like Rico used to do at all? Has that ever crossed your mind?
I could see where it'd be really fun, but I also see where it would be extremely stressful.
Yeah. Because
So
there's so many risk involved, it's like, fuck.
Yeah, the level of risk is big because and it would depend on the show and everything in your situation. But I think it could be fun. I don't know. I don't really have a plan to do it at the moment. But that could change over time because I mean that was, those early Reptile shows that we went to as kids were, you're influencing and inspiring a lot of young up and coming people at those shows. So putting on I saw, dude, the old displays that Eugene used to do at the early expos were incredible. I mean, that was, again, these glass jars with chondro after chondro after chondro, and just like, holy shit, this is crazy. Just staring at it as a young kid. Like, I could see where that would be cool to provide that kind of experience for young keepers, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But the risk is big there. So, maybe I'd have to say, yeah, maybe it could be fun if done right.
So I have a wrap-up question for you, Chris, before we get into the hot seat questions, okay? This is because we didn't really talk about this at all, and I just want to know what your stand is or what your experience has been with, like, nidovirus, crypto, anything that's been wiping people's collections out that, like, it has in the past. Like, what's your experience with that? What's your protocol with stuff like that?
So, Nido, obviously, I had an early experience with a Nido-positive female chondro. So, she was one I picked up that was, I believe, a captive bred based on the look of. She looked like some kind of locality cross, maybe a farm bred thing. I'm not sure, but she almost looked like. I don't know. I never really could tell who she is. She had a lot of blue in her, but I picked up that snake, and I was always quarantined everything, separate rooms, from anything that's established gets quarantined. Anything that new comes in is quarantined in a separate room. And then ideally, never quarantine multiple things in the same room if that's at all possible. If so, try to reset the quarantine time when something new comes in. So try to be super strict with it and kind of probably borderline ridiculous with that as far as like always wearing gloves and going through a million pairs of gloves and everything. But I had this nidovirus snake, nidovirus positive snake. Didn't know she was nido positive until I tested her. But I only had her for a few months, and then when I tested her for nido, came back positive, and of course, terrifying. It's like, oh shit. Even though she was quarantined and never put it where close to any of the others or anything else, I was still paranoid about it. Probably a little overly paranoid at that point, because I was learning about all that and everything. And I actually ended up donating that snake to the Bartolinis.
Oh, wow. Cody and Pia? Damn, those are the homies.
Yeah, donated her to help with research and she ended eventually didn't make it, but she was a beautiful snake, really beautiful snake. But that's the only one I've ever had test positive. So that experience put the brakes on getting new ones for me. Like, I've been real slow and cautious about it from that point. Again, probably a little too paranoid to some degrees with it. I've missed out on I missed out on one gorgeous female Aru that I should have just taken the chance on, that was local, that I don't have a good excuse for. She would have been such a nice snake to have with the male Aru, but I was just so nido paranoid at the time that I just didn't want to take any risks. But I think my stance on it is that if you quarantine really strict, and test multiple times, make sure that your quarantine protocols are legit. Do it as best as you can. Separate stuff by walls wherever possible. So put it in a different room, put it in a different building if you can do that. And I never had a problem with it after that snake, thankfully, so far. Again, I've retested anything new that I acquire gets tested at least 3 times.
And then when do you retest? Like, do you ever wait a couple years or wait a year and then retest again just to be sure?
I haven't yet, but I want to do that this year. I want to retest all the adults just to be 100% sure. They've been tested. I space the tests out so that it's not just like back to back to back. But yeah, I think that's ideally the way to do it. Retest. I don't know what the exact. I guess you probably never really be too safe with it, honestly. I don't know what makes sense exact frequency for retesting animals that have consistently shown negative. But I don't see anything but good that can come of doing that. You know, retesting them, the adults on a regular basis, and you know, babies and subadults as well, and just making sure, because then I think that's how you avoid like total crazy meltdown situations.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're doing it, if you're testing and you're quarantining properly, I don't think it has to be a total nightmare. I think that a lot of people are kind of learning that and wising up from when that happened back in the day more often, and that stuff's probably been around for a long time too. I mean, I'm can never say for sure, of course, but when I think back and so much of the stuff I observed at the reptile wholesaler when I worked there, it's like you'd see our eyes break out, and now I'm always thinking like probably was a viral thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oftentimes, because you'd see stuff that's like, you know, these one snake was fine, you put them in with another for some reason, and now they're both acting up. So it's like, yeah, did the snake really get, you know, are they really so weak that they can't handle a 2-degree drop at night? I doubt it.
Right.
You know, I really don't think so. They're certainly going through more extreme drops at night in the wild.
I mean,
well, not every case, but you know what I mean. Like they're hardier, I think, than.
No, I do know what you mean, because it does drop. Like they do have extreme drops, and a healthy snake should be able to deal with it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, a snake that isn't so healthy will crash, and you'll see it. You know, and the thing is with chondros, I mean, I don't know. I had a long talk with Socrates about this, because I recently just had my first ball python with RI. Like I was, and I had her breeding and stuff like that, and it's pretty bad. Like she's fucking drooling, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So Sock was like, yo, you know, nido test it, which obviously I did. I have 4 TAS. I have it in the incubator. But, you know, either way, it's like I talked to him. I was like, hey, like, it's, you know, because a lot of ball python people are like, oh, why are you nido testing the ball python? It's not nido. But his experience with nido started with the ball python. That's how it all started with him. Like he got took in a ball python that ended up fucking rolling on him, and he got it tested, found out that it had nido. So
I wouldn't be surprised. Again, this is just me hypothesizing on it. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if probably a lot of the cases where you got a situation where a ton of chondros or carpet pythons or something like all crash out from nido, it would seem to me that it's at least more likely that would be from a strain that they don't naturally carry, that they're picking up from ball pythons or from something else.
Right?
I don't know for sure, but that's what I would suspect, because you know, you've got plenty of the ones that test positive that are essentially asymptomatic, and I think that there's been some confirmed cases of it coming in from wild chondros too. Now that's not, again, this is just me hypothesizing. I don't know that that's necessarily indicative that it's absolutely true that it's coming from, you know, all wild caught ones are carrying this stuff, but certainly possible.
Well, you know what? It's possible that's going to happen to me, and I'm already realizing this right now, is after I get this fucking ball python nido test, dude, I have Papuans, I have white lips, I have boas, I have fucking like Miss Timors, I have Boegas, I have so many different species all in one room that I have not tested yet. I've only tested the chondros, I've only tested the emeralds, and now this ball python. But now I know I should test all these other species. I really should.
Yeah, it's tough though. I get it, because it's like when you've got a large collection, it's obviously there's the expense of it, there's the time of it, there's, you know, what do you do if you do have, you know, multiple animals sick? Like, I think the thing that's a little tricky that everybody's still trying to figure out is what's the right thing to do when you do have, you know, when you do have a positive one. You know what I mean? Do you run out and euthanize everything in sight, or
no? Fuck! Don't say that. No, please don't.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not trying
don't
to
say that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying.
I have so many people tell me, bro, no, there's no way. And when so many people are doubting it that bad, that's when it fucking happens. So I'm not gonna sleep tonight. I get these results tomorrow morning, so I'm just like,
well, hopefully it comes out good, man. And like I said, I don't know that it necessarily is the right step to just go nuclear like that. I don't know for sure, but it seems like
you at least test everything.
Yeah, it seems like there's a better way to handle it. And I think that isolation of anything that's tests positive, trying to hopefully prevent something positive from getting in the first place is ideal, but not always possible.
Right.
Stuff slips through, especially if if you've got an old collection of stuff that before the Nido thing was really recognized. It's hard to, it could have been going on for a while. I'm sure a lot of people have it that it's not necessarily causing problems or not causing serious problems. So hopefully we're working, with everybody that's got their eyes on it, and the Bartolini's doing their thing, and Stephen Tillis, I know, and RAL Labs, and all, there's a lot of stuff that's available now for it that I think that hopefully we're on the path to handling it much better collectively. So I'm not as freaked out by it as I was. I definitely, having one test positive, I was like, oh shit,
right?
It's all over. It's definitely, and I was in paranoia mode for probably a good year and a half, 2 years about that, being just really extra careful. But I think it's a good lesson to learn early on. I'm glad I learned that lesson and had that experience early rather than too late.
And to any new keeper out there thinking, well, when should I Nido test? When should somebody Nido test?
As soon as you get it. It's a good one. It's a good start. As soon as you get it, if you can. It's I'm of the mentality with that like, I think it's good practice to quarantine and kind of treat everything, no matter where it comes from,
right,
the same way. You know what I mean? Just to be extra careful. And maybe that, I don't know if everybody feels that way or agrees with that. That's just my standpoint of it. Like, if I get something, I just don't really care where it comes from. I'm going to try to treat it the same way. Pretty close anyways. Now, obviously, there's a difference between the way you're going to quarantine, like an import emerald compared to something like, getting a basin from Ed. You know what I mean? You're not going to, there's a whole different level of risk there. But I just think it's a good practice to be into, just to stay consistent with it. So testing as soon as you get it is good. Test multiple times. I think it's just good practice, you know what I mean? And be consistent with it is the way to keep the stuff, I think, from being a huge problem in your collection.
Fuck yeah. Well, sick. This was a great episode, Chris. Good job, man. Yeah. You did it.
Thanks, man. I had a good time. I realized I didn't even bring out any snakes. I had planned to. I was going to show a couple things.
Oh wait, no. Let's do it. No. Let's do it. Let's end it. Let's show something. Let's show something.
All right. Yeah. I just had a couple.
I totally forgot. Yeah, please let's end this. That'd be perfect. Let's end this with a show and tell. That'd be great.
Cool. I don't have too much stuff.
That's fine.
A couple things real quick. I'll try to be fast with it.
No, you're good. You take your time. I want to see this myself. So sorry about that, guys. I totally forgot he had shit to show. Totally forgot.
Yeah, it's all right. And let me see. Hang on. And I got to be. I'm gonna. Sorry if it's a little annoying, but like I try to stay strict with wearing the gloves and stuff.
It's fine. We get it. Sanitize first.
Yeah. So give me just a second.
Hey guys, real quick. Let's get
Emerald or two.
If you're just now tapping in, or if you've been tapped in, forgot to hit the like button, let's get the likes up for the homie Christopher Rice. Okay, he's about to show some heat right now, and then we'll get into the hot seat questions, and you guys can enjoy the rest of your night. All right, take the floor, Chris. This is you showing your.
Yeah. Give me 1 second to get this on, and then I will go grab. I'll just quickly show one of the Neo Beox, and then like a yearling or two, and then an adult chondro real quick, and then show an emerald or two. So I'll try to be pretty quick with it. Hopefully the camera looks all right here.
Yeah, you actually like so good.
Just a second. Let me go grab one of those Neos. Hang on.
All right, cool. Damn, I guess we should smoke. I feel like I need to smoke. But guys, thank you so much for tapping in. This has been a great episode. It's really hard to cram in a lot of information with chondros and emeralds. I mean, clearly Chris is going to need to come on for round 2. He's definitely somebody I feel like I could talk to for hours, but yeah, I don't have hours. I mean, shit, I got about 3, and I'm giving you guys about 3. Super chats were been a little bit light, but hey, listen, I'm still gonna give you 3 hours.
Oh, yeah,
All right, go
probably
and take it, Chris. Go and take it.
Probably helps to put the headphones in so I can actually hear you. Give me 1 second here.
Take the floor, bro. This is all you.
All right, let's see if I can get this. So this is, I'm gonna have to just take this out of the. This is the way I keep my Condor babies.
All right.
It's a little bit different. They're over water.
Water. Okay, over water. Okay, I see
Yeah,
that.
I keep them over water from birth until probably a year and a half, 2 years. Just works for me. It works out really. I feel like it's a much better way to be keeping them. Personally, this is a little true captive bred baby Biak, which can I actually get that on screen? Give me 1 second. So this one's about, I think, 4 or 5 months old, maybe 6 months old by now, something like that. And
What was the
yeah, that was
what was
from
what was the pairing again on that one?
pure Biak.
Damn,
Just,
that's hot. That one's hot, bro.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the adults, man. They're dope. That was the wild caught female, and then a similar looking male that I think was a farm bred baby. From everything I could tell, was a farm bred baby. And then you know what? I'm just gonna skip the gloves for this one and just sanitize, since these are the captive breds.
Oh, we skipped the glove.
Slightly break the rules just a little bit, but
That's what we do on
still
Trap
all right.
Talk. We break
Yeah,
rules.
living on the edge, really, right? it would only being slightly paranoid. Shit, I spilled a little bit of water on the damn computer. Give me 1 second, make sure that don't kill the laptop. Hopefully that was just a drop. All right, and then see if I could just bring this over here. Let's see, so this is one of the, these are about 18 months old. Actually, probably just have to prop this up here. So this one's about 18 months old. This is an Aru Biak cross, so it's just finally coloring up. Blues are coming in really sick on this one.
Damn, I love it.
And these, I've even noticed the perches are kind of weird, like a little bit unorthodox. I'm experimenting with what they actually respond
Hangers?
to.
I like the
It's a hanger, and then pieces of like silk plants and stuff. I basically am just kind of been playing around with seeing like what will they actually use, because I'm personally not a huge fan of just a single straight rod or just straight rods. Like I feel like they
need
respond
options.
to a lot more. Yeah, they just seem to respond. They use it. You know what I mean? So I'm figuring
Right.
like, well, they probably should be using it.
Yeah, I feel like people just make it too simple with their perches. Like they need to make it more like all over the place, you know?
Well, it's hard because it's, you know, there's advantages to both. I mean, the simplicity's definitely got a lot of advantages, and this one's angry again. Dude, this one is, look at this. Rarely do these little ones, they've been so mellow. This one in particular, I don't see if it'll pick it up. See how he's flattening his head? He's moving around, or I can't really get him up there right. Anyways, he's got his head way flattened out.
Dude, he's beefy. He looks great.
He's pissed too. He's for whatever reason. I almost wonder if he's going through like I don't know if it's a maturity thing or something. It'd be kind of weird. His
nads are dropping.
It could be that little snake just all of a sudden. This is the second or third time he's done this now. Where I usually could care less when the tub opens, but he's been, you know, completely furious at the sight of me. So Normally, I find them to be pretty. I don't know. I don't have any problem handling them or the emeralds for the most part, with a few exceptions. So let me just show one adult chondro real quick, just my Aru male, because I don't want to just everything, the stuff that's breeding. I obviously don't want to.
You're good.
Pull that out. We don't have too much time, probably. So
You're good, dude.
appreciate everybody being patient with me here. So
Yeah, you're good, man. We're all good. The people like seeing the snakes. This is worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, it's and it's fun. Everybody likes showing off the stuff. So
Yeah.
good time with it.
Show the gold, baby.
So, can I show the gold without him actually? he might nail me. Let me see if I can just switch. Actually, 1 second here. Can I switch this camera? I'm gonna try something real quick. If I lose you, I'll come right back.
All right, sounds good. The final snake to see. Thanks for hanging tight, guys. Appreciate you. Hope you guys are ready for.
Oh, he's coming out at me. Jeez.
Oh, there you go,
Dude.
Ooh, is that an emerald or that's a chondro?
That's a chondro, yeah. Yeah, it's an Aru. I just have his Cambro tubs set up right here. So that's an Aru. This is the one that's not breeding, but looks like he's ready to bite the shit out of me. And then when you want to see an emerald,
Yeah, show me an emerald.
then that's enough, I think, right? You probably want to run. Times run pretty long, so I don't want to hold people up too much.
Sick ass logo.
Switch this. Just plug back in here.
Cool.
Oh, dope! That camera switches back around easily. All right. So yeah, I'll pull out Uno, which is that the Neo Emerald.
Let's check it out. Uno.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we'll get into the hot seat questions.
Yeah. All right, be right back with them. Hang on.
All right, cool.
Area.
Hell yeah. Well, what do you guys enjoying more? If you're out there listening, or if you're watching this right now, if you were to pick chondro or emerald, what would you pick right now at this point? After listening to everything had Chris have to say, hashtag what you would pick. Hashtag chondro, hashtag emerald. I'm just curious what you guys think so far. 44 of you in the chat. Just curious. Also, I'm curious, would you do In-N-Out or would you do Mexican food taco shop if you were me in this position after I smoke again? What would you do? Comment.
All right. So keep them pretty much the same way. Did it kill?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm just watching it.
Okay, I thought I was like gone. I'm like, all right. So yeah, just keep them pretty much the same way over water. Slightly different perch for this one, but I like giving them the silk leaves. I might try to do pothos and like something. Eventually, I'm just kind of too big of a puss to add live plants into the mix right yet. But I like giving them the leaves because I find that they always like to hide on them. So like this little character, they'll usually perch with a leaf kind of right over their head. Let's see if I get better lighting. Gotta bring the lighting here. Shit, that didn't work. All right, can't really get much better lighting, I guess.
That looks good. I could see it. Looks awesome.
But yeah, this is the one that's like slammed the first meal really easy. I love the pattern on it and color. It's just super dope.
What's the age on this one?
This one is this one from the was born in December, so it's just about 2 months.
Oh, that's bitching, bro. Congratulations, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm super proud of this little guy or female. No, I haven't proved it yet. Not sure, but
As you should. You want me to predict what the sex is? I could do that for you just by looking at it. You want to see it?
let's hear it.
Bring it closer. Watch this. Like, can you center it? Yeah. I want to see the head more, and I want to make eye contact with it. Hold on.
All right, I'll try to get it up there. It's a little tricky, but
Oh, I want to say male. I'm saying I want to trust me. I want to say female, but I think it's a male.
could be right, man. Could be right. I'll let you know what happens when I get
please-
it from.
Can you please let me know what happened? I'm very crazy about calling predictions. I'm like literally 20 for 20, and I want to keep my streak up. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit, like, hey, listen, I was fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm
I do
thinking
the same thing. I'm always trying to guess and
trying to be wrong all the right. Dude, all right, Chris, good shit. Thank you for showing all that. Very inspiring. But it's not
Thanks,
over.
man.
You got these
All right.
you got these hot seat questions. It's about to get real right now, okay? I don't know if you want to put gloves on for this because it's going to get dirty.
No, I can handle it without that. Gloves are coming off.
All right. So do me a favor, not only because I'm hungry and you know I do have a wife that's knocking on the door here. Don't give me an explanation for these hot seat questions. I just need an answer.
Actually, I'll do my best not to bullshit.
do your best.
Let's see how you go. It gets.
I get it.
Yeah.
Some things need more of an explanation, but do your best. The point is less explaining, okay?
Yeah.
So here we go. Hot seat questions for Spirit Snake. Did I say that right? Spirit Snake?
Snake Spirit. Yeah,
Snake
for
Spirit.
sure.
Fuck. Snake
Yeah,
Spirit.
that's all right. That's all right.
That should be an
Like I said,
airline.
I don't even know if I'm going to keep that name, so it's
That should be an airline. Snake Spirit. All right, here we go. Frozen thawed or live?
frozen thought.
8 cut or no cut?
Egg cut now. It wasn't before, but egg cut now.
So 8 cut. Okay. Red Chondro Neo or yellow Chondro Neo?
I'm going to say yellow. Just why not?
Wow. Okay. So you're just being, you know,
I haven't produced any red yet. It could just be that.
biggest meal offered to an adult chondro male.
Adult chondro male. At least a small rat.
Female.
Big ass medium rat.
How often?
3 to 5 weeks.
Biggest meal
Really?
offered. Biggest meal offered to an adult female emerald.
At least a large rat.
How often?
I would go 4 to 5 weeks
Okay.
at that size.
Incubation temps. Straight bake or no straight bake?
No straight bake.
All right. Yay imports or boo imports?
I have to go with yay.
Favorite import to establish?
Emerald.
Emerald. Okay. To spray or snake or to not spray a snake?
I'll keep spray, but I only do it for stimulation. All right, that's the only explanation. I know you don't want anybody to ever go.
So you spray. You spray.
Yes, spray.
Okay,
Just don't
got
do
it. Okay.
stimulation.
Fuck. Just kidding. Choice substrate for chondro.
Babies, water for me. Adults, puppy pad.
Nice. All right.
For now.
Yay sports or boo sports?
I guess I'll say boo.
All right. Cool. Why?
Not
I'm just
completely
kidding. I
good.
don't give a fuck. I don't care. I used to be.
overall
I used-
boo, though.
I used to be really into sports until the whole knee thing started happening. I saw kids doing it because if I was a kid and I took a knee during the national anthem, I would get my ass whooped. And I just
Yeah.
don't.
I
I don't
just-
understand that. That hurt my feelings seeing that. I don't like it. So I'm done. Okay. Anyway, so all right, steak or fish?
I guess I'll go steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
I don't eat it often enough to know.
Okay.
I don't eat either of them that often, really.
Favorite side with steak?
Probably simple, just really badass baked potato.
Nice. Okay. Real American, huh? Steak and potato, motherfucker. Big flexor or no flexor?
I guess no flex, but maybe I do flex and I don't realize it with it by showing some of the stuff.
Respectable
But it's
flex.
gonna be no flex.
Respectable flex.
Respectable flex. There we go.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
That's not even a question. That's Diamond Dave all day, man.
Oh my God.
That's not a real question. It's Van Halen.
Okay, perfect. Nirvana or Sublime?
For me, Nirvana all day.
Wow, I'm glad. Listen, I love Sublime, but Nirvana was my alternative introduction into. Well, Green Day was, but Nirvana was my first aggression music. Like I really it really helped me when I was like 10 or.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Was a big influence for me. I actually lucked out and heard Nirvana just before Nevermind came out through the Thrasher magazine stuff.
You want to know?
Magazines.
You want to know one album I could just hear on fucking repeat, like no matter what mood I'm in, and it hits me the same. The MTV Unplugged album.
I need to listen to that again. It's been a minute. That's incredible. Yeah.
I'm glad you said Nirvana. I mean, I love Sublime, and most people say Sublime, but Nirvana is like, we gotta understand. My uncles are metalheads. They used to call me gay and fag and shit for liking Nirvana, but because it's alternative. It was the alternative.
Some metalheads could be like that.
Yeah, that was my uncles for sure, like the Patricks and shit. All right, let's see. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
I guess probably West Coast right now.
Mexican food or Italian food?
Italian.
Nice. Favorite Italian dish?
My grandma's spaghetti pie.
Ooh, spaghetti pie? What? That sounds delicious.
Crazy good. Crazy. Yeah.
No. What were you gonna say? I love it.
I'm just saying, I don't see it made very often anymore, but it's incredible.
It's one of those OG dishes, like the reason why your grandma's your grandma's grandma, right?
Yeah, she's great cook.
Shouts out all the grandmas out there. Yeah. Little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk,
tea,
cocoa.
Also milk tea.
New chondro keeper.
God, I'm blanking because I don't want to say anything bad. Pass.
Oh my, yeah, that's a tough one. You said pass. Okay, stuck shed.
I don't mean to be a jerk on that, but yeah, just stuck shed.
Mm-hmm.
Do your humidity right.
Mites.
They suck.
Ovulation.
Fantastic.
Day 60.
My chondro eggs are dead, I guess.
Egg box substrate.
Perlite.
If you had to breed one species for the rest of your life and just one, is it going to be the emeralds or chondros? Which one?
Damn, that's tough.
I know.
I'm on an emerald high right now, so I'm going to go emerald.
You know what's crazy, bro?
As much as I love the chondros.
There's a reason why. Shout out to my boy Andrew Acevedo, but years back when he was kind of schooling me on species and getting me into things, he said from the fucking beginning, emeralds / basins, whatever, but more importantly, basins. The fucking Ferrari of snakes, bro. It's really hard. Other than a Bolin's, obviously, I feel like Bolin's would be like a Bentley or something.
Yeah,
but
those are incredible.
But still, bro, emeralds, basins, and I feel like once you start breeding them and you get to experience that, which I have, I'm not even close to that, but still, I understand where you're coming from, and I get where you're at because
after seeing these neonates, I'm definitely it's may change in the future, but I doubt it. Emeralds at the moment.
Dude, listen, hey, Chris, we had at least over 70 people here at one point for a good consistent amount of time. We have about 70 likes. You had mad people here to support you, showing you love. So what do you have to say to all your supporters out there, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, man? What do you have to say to everyone who's rooting for you, all your potential future customers, everyone who's out there looking to, wanting you to succeed?
Huge thank you for supporting everything I'm doing. And I'm going to try to just continue to put out good stuff in the future, and try to hopefully contribute something long lasting to the hobby. It's done so much good for me and since I was young that I would love to at least be some small part of the a positive aspect of its legacy. So I want to keep doing that and just, I guess, keep following the shit I'm posting.
Keep doing what you're doing, man, because literally it's what a lot of others aren't doing. I mean, you are in you're a niche, bro. Like, you're working for something that a lot of people even tried or want to work with, but it's not cut for everybody, man. And obviously it's cut out for you. I'm rooting for you. You got mad support on my end, bro. And I didn't get enough. Obviously, I'm gonna need a round 2 for sure. So we'll be doing this again in the future for sure, Chris. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Man.
All right, man. Christopher Rice, ladies and gentlemen. Snake Spirit. Thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Later. Fucking what a guy. Gotta love the OGs and the respected keepers and breeders in the Emerald and Condor community, because yeah, not everyone's perfect, but the ones who are respected, the high ones, very player. That's Christopher Rice, man. What an amazing episode. I appreciate everyone who tapped in. 3 hours. I haven't done a 3-hour episode in a long time. Well, guess what? This was well deserved because guys, a fucking wealth of knowledge. Follow this guy. I'm telling you right now. Okay. Tune in. Watch what he's going to be producing, because I have a good feeling about Christopher Rice, man. He's been around for a while, and he's not obviously going anywhere. You know, he's here to put knowledge into all of us and make sure that we learn. So here we go, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much. If you happen to tap in later on in the episode, hit the like before you exit. If you really enjoyed this episode, it really means a lot, man. And if you need anything from me, hit me up on Instagram. Best way to do that and all that other good stuff. But shout out to all my Patreon members. Shout out to all my trappers. Thank you so much for tapping in. Enjoy the rest of your night. I think I have In-N-Out calling my name, and I'm out. Cheers.